Hello and welcome to NXTGEN Racing, the home of clean and fair sim racing for all. Hello, good evening and welcome ladies and gentlemen to another round of rapid fire touring car racing action in the one and only NXTGEN Racing Touring Car Championship Season 9 as brought to you on the Premier Sim Racing platform available only on PC known as iRacing. That's right ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks have passed from the dust settling in round number 2 of the championship and we're here today once again to bring you an all new round of racing action from round 3 of 10. Playing host is the Snetterton racing circuit located in what is the region of Norfolk. It is a circuit like no other when it combines together its absolutely sensational length of 2.98 miles and within that length an absolutely brilliant variety of corners and straights whereby everybody's desires in terms of what the ultimate circuit can feel like in the United Kingdom will be sated. It has 2 long straights, the start finish straight and also the back straight. It has a number of tight hairpins including turns 2 and 4. It also has a number of sweepers and quick direction changes, perhaps none more so than the combination of Brundle into Nelson for its turns 9 and 10. It also has the infamous bomb hole corner at turn number 11, where it's the depression in the road, the extensive Corium corner at turn number 12, and that lovely roar out the 90-degree left-hander of what is Brundle as they roar the way out through. In fact, Murray's corner, I should say, getting my namings right there, the final corner to make the way onto the start-finish straight. But whatever you fancy about the Snetterton circuit, one thing as well as the fact it is a wide-open circuit as well, which means overtaking opportunities are sure to abound here, and this is going to lead to a cracking round of racing action. There's no question about it. But where are my manners? Allow me to introduce you to this broadcast live from circuit side in the orange lobby for this season, of course, and we're following all the orange lobby racing action as it takes place here over what will be our 3 races of the evening. You can be tuning in via one of 3 media channels to your viewing pleasure. Firstly, you could be tuning in via one of the 2 official NXTGEN Racing media channels, which do include, of course, the NXTGEN Racing YouTube channel at youtube.com and search for NXTGEN Racing. And welcome to you guys and girls tuning in via what is YouTube. Alternatively, you could be tuning in via the official NXTGEN Racing Facebook group, and that's at facebook.com/groups/NXTGEN Racing. We also do have a third media outlet available to you, and that is on Twitch at twitch.tv/TX141. And welcome to you guys and girls tuning in via Twitch. And for those asking who is TX141, allow me to introduce myself as your host and commentator for this season. My name is Paul Walsh, also known as TX141 or Brit in the Spit, depending on what media you follow me on, and I will bring you all your racing action as it unfolds in this round of the championship, indeed the entirety of the season. Before this round, our schedule is as follows. Times in British summertime, that's BST, or Universal Coordinate Time +1, and as we can see, in approximately will be 18 minutes time, we're making our way out into the circuit for our 15-minute qualifying session, and definitely an important one out here in the fact that battling around this circuit costs an absolute plethora of time, so track position towards the front is going to be useful for our drivers, after which we'll then be heading to the grid for the first of our 3 races. The first race scheduled to get underway at just after what will be 20 past 8 this evening for 10 laps of racing, and then we'll be taking a brief breather before returning for race number 2 at 10 past 9, and then we'll rinse and repeat, albeit not without the all-important reverse grid draw for race number 3, and race number 3 is scheduled to get underway at approximately 10 o'clock this evening. Of course, all those times of trying to run the schedule. But as we get ready to go racing in, well, this is the series, of course, powered by Doble Motorcycles and brought to you on the Premier Sim Racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing. And well, let's give you a recap of the season so far and what we still got lying in wait. Because as we can see, we're now into the 3rd round of the championship. Last time out, it was the Brands Hatch Indy circuit for round number 2 on the 6th of May, and prior to that, we opened up with a bang at the Donington Park National Circuit on the 29th of April. As we continue to move forward into what will be this season's calendar, well, we do have some updates to make, but there's no updates to the first half of the season because after today, we'll be making our way to the Thruxton circuit in 2 weeks' time on the 3rd of June, and then to Alton Park Island on Wednesday the 17th of June to complete the first half of the season, and then we'll have our summer break. But sadly, I do believe, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to what is round number 6 of the championship, well, iRacing recently announced what was coming in the 2025 Season 3 build of content, and it looks like the Croft circuit has not made its way into that build, and therefore it does mean that it's looking quite doubtful they'll be heading to Croft on the 29th of July, and instead an alternative venue will be brought forward for the Croft circuit, and we will reveal that most likely in at least 2 weeks' time in the round number 4, if not before was the summer break. But stay tuned in the fact that we do have a brilliant backup circuit planned, but we just need to get the final regulations in place there for us to go racing for that circuit. Indeed, if we can't go racing at Croft, you are in for a treat wherever we do go racing. Round number 7 will still see us make our way to Scotland for the Knockhill International Circuit on the 12th of August, after which we'll make our way back to Donington Park for its Grand Prix layout on the 26th of August, and our penultimate round with the Silverstone National Circuit on the 16th of September. Then we bring it all to a close, of course, at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix Circuit on the 30th of September, mimicking the British Touring Car Championship calendar for 2025 and aiming to host each and every round where possible the week before the racing occurs in real life on the weekend. But as we come into round number 3 then, well, many of you may be asking, well, what is the championship status at the moment with regards to the battling between our drivers? Well, let's start off with the Overall Championship. And in the Overall Drivers' Championship, it looks like this after 2 rounds. Wojciech Swirydowicz has returned to the top. In fact, having a great round last time out and really delivering a major set of points, including a pair of podiums and what was a race win within that. And Wojciech Swirydowicz right now leading the way by 9 points over Luciano Witvoet. However, let's not consider out the fact that Luciano Witvoet was a bit unfortunate perhaps for results not to go his way in round number 2, albeit with the success ballast in the car, you can imagine he was up against it. In third is your 4-time NXTCC champion, Mikey Doble, on 87 points. Yet to hit his true stride, however, right in the thick of the battling in both of our opening rounds, no doubt about it. He has his younger brother Isaac Doble, fresh off a racing at Mallory Park in what is the Junior Fiesta Championship, where he's there in 4th place, only a further 3 points behind. Adam Delmont sits in 5th place on 82 points, and really was the man on a charge last time out in round number 2 at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, picking up absolutely huge haul of points, and therefore moving forward a stellar rate of knots. There's a sizable gap now between himself and Andrew Pike, who sits in 6th place there, and that gap standing where's the best part of 18 points, and therefore looking for an opportunity to potentially try and close the gap to what is the top 5 tonight is Pike. However, he's going to find that challenging, no doubt about it, for the simple reason that points here no longer as plenty as they used to be, given the fact we have switched our point standings to mimic the BTCC, and therefore every point truly does matter, and you can't make an absolutely huge haul unless you take a huge score away from each and every round. But as they make the way into what is this battle for tonight, Alex Meredith only a further point behind there. He'll be fancying his chances after really getting to terms with the Hyundai Veloster last time out of the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit and bringing home that absolutely brilliant charge to victory in the final race of the day, with William Guthrie there in 8th place ahead of Gavin Gardner and Jaroslav Sabula completing your top 10. Now, I do believe, unfortunately, Jaroslav Sabula has confirmed as of going into this round he's not going to be able to make the remainder of the season, and therefore it is very unfortunate because we were looking forward to seeing plenty more for him going into what was this round, but still it does mean therefore that his space will give place to another driver to try and charge their way in towards that top 10. And outside the top 10, who could fill that space? Could it be Tom Davidson, for example, for the Sim Racing Collective on 39 points, or a point behind him could it be Conrad Kula? Then we've also got your leading Pro-Am driver there of Matthew Addy on 25 points, the 23 of Lewis Delmont. Absolutely a razor sharp close between the two of them, and there's nothing in it between them when it comes to overall points. But when we come to the Pro-Am Championship, we'll see it's a slightly different story. Then from the top 14 in 15th place, it's Lee Horn in 23 points, only behind Delmont based on result countback. And then we do have in 16th place Kieran Smart ahead of Stuart Winers, with Michael Lees, Duncan Rise and Jamie Dory completing a top 20. Outside the top 20 in 21st place, it's Ben Altria, only ahead of Ben Gregory, his Full Tilt V Motorsport teammate there, or Full Tilt V Motorsport with boosted motorsport teammates, we should say, only ahead of him based on result countback. From there in 23rd, it's Sam Smith, Iris Esports, only ahead of Craig Tillerson based on result countback, the leading AM driver there, given his performances overall, but he's really had to shine over what has been the round so far. It's been absolutely lovely to see. And then we do see behind him always Reece Watt, Alan McCain, Nick Clibbins, and then we come to the second of our AM drivers there of what is Jonathan Collins ahead of Marcel Fridge, with Russell Fowler completing the top 30. And then we have Sam Van Olst ahead of what is Matthew Jordan, with what is Alexander Paulik there in 13th place ahead of Callum Murray. And then we do have Sam Bradley, Joe Doble and Mark Sykes completing the overall standings. But as they make the way into this round, of course, let's talk about the Pro-Am Championship standings. And here we can see things are a little bit different in that we do have Michael Lees leading the way by 6 points over Lewis Delmont, and well, it's close between them, but Michael Lees is gradually outstripping the younger member of the Delmont family, at least at the moment, but you can imagine that pace could swing back and forth. But as they head into this round, well, Kieran Smart and Duncan Rise at both equal and 86 points, being absolutely neck and neck right now in the battle for third, and it's Rise only behind based on result countback. In fifth, it's Matthew Addy ahead of Stuart Winers, and then we do have Ben Altria, Russell Fowler, Ben Gregory and Alan McCain completing the Pro-Am top 10, and notice there that from what is first all the way through to 6th place, it's only 15 points between them. It's absolutely tied, and therefore these drivers right now absolutely in what is a closely fought battle. But from them, as they do look outside of what is the top 6. Ben Altrier of the just trailing off there by 4 points, and there's a sizable 20-point gap to Russell Fowler, and then we have from them Ben Gregory a further 3 points behind, and a further 2 to Alan McCain. Reece Watts sits in a little bit of a lonely 11th, albeit he's got the close company of the iRacing esports pair Nick Clemens and Sam Smith, and Sam Van Ol sits in 14th place there, last of our Pro-Ams, before we come to the Am Drivers' Championship, and we can see that it is Mark Sykes who leads the way there, and looking to try and lead the way as much as he possibly can, and try to break it away, given he had a great run last time out at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, making it 3 from 3, and well, now it's going to be to Marcel Fritsch to try and come back at him. From them, as we make the way into this round, well, we do have Craig Tillotson in 3rd place on 85 points, and the Verano Motorsports driver there, the Verano Academy driver, well, he's got Jonathan Collins close for company behind him by 6 points, with Matthew Jordan in 5th ahead of Cal Murray, and Sam Bradley completing the AM standings there. But right now, you can imagine that any of these drivers could come back right into the fight from tonight onwards, given how close it has been. And really right now, whilst Mark Sykes was the triple winner last time out, well, he's not made himself the favourite, because Marcel Fritsch did prove to be the stronger of the 2 drivers when we did head to what was our season opener at the Donington Park National Circuit. But that's an update down the standings coming into this round. Let's talk about our circuit. And we are here at the Snetterton circuit, but particularly the 300 layout. Introduced in what was 2011, if my memory serves me correctly, this has been the layout that's been used for most major what is club level and also international level racing over what is the extensive history of the circuit since its inception, the layout at least, in 2011. But prior to this, well, this circuit has been around all the way since 1951, albeit in a very much different guise. But the Snetterton circuit, located in the county of Norfolk in England and the United Kingdom, is known most for this layout these days, 2.98 miles in length. And as we say thank you to iRacing.com, not just for their brilliant simulator, but also the fantastic track maps that are held within it. Well, there we can see the corner variety on screen. And this 2-dimensional image, all minus what is the slight elevation change at bomb hole, and also the fact that Murray's corner is much lower compared to the rest of the corners, albeit it's a very gentle run up to riches at turn number 1. This circuit is as flat as they come, indeed, with the majority of the British circuits on this calendar being on the site of former Royal Air Force airfields. We'd imagine there to have an airfield, you've got to have flat surfaces, and that does comply definitely for the Snetterton circuit. But charging away down the start-finish straight in towards Rich's corner at turn number 1, the double right-hand apex, then it's all about nailing the second apex as late as humanly possible to carry all the speed up to what used to be known as the Montreal hairpin at turn number 2, but renamed to Wilson hairpin in honour of Justin Wilson, who's sadly no longer with us, and they'll break the way into one of the lower speed hairpins of the circuit at turn number 2. They'll expect some brilliant battling under braking, but whoever leads the way out of there will then have to contest as they make their way into the infield 100 section as they head into Palmer corner at turn number 3, named after, of course, Jonathan Palmer, the owner of MSV and the owning company of this circuit. And as they head up towards Agostini, it'll be another hairpin, albeit with a V-shape approach compared to the U-shape at Montreal. Out of Agostini, it'll be a quick flick to the left through Hamilton, and into the combination of Oggies and Williams there, turns 6, 7 and 8, and through the double right and onto the back straight they'll go, and it'll be a long charge down the Bentley straight into perhaps the hardest corner complex on the circuit, the Brundle into Nelson complex to turns 9 and 10, where it's all about trail braking into the apex of 9 to set up a heavy braking zone for turn number 10, and as they make their way out the sharp right-angled right-hand corner, it's then into bomb hole at turn number 11 before they roar the way all the way around the never-ending right-hander Akoram, where it's got to end at some point at turn number 12, because of course they've got turn 13. Now Murray's that completes lap and sees them back onto the start-finish straight. Well, that's talking about the circuit, but let's give you a quick reminder of the rules because we can't go racing without them. As we see, this is a fixed setup series with setups provided to our drivers ahead of each and every race and round. Driver classes shall be finalised as the conclusion of round number 3, so as the conclusion of this round, we will see the classes locked in for the remainder of the season, and I believe at this time we've seen no class changes, but we do have a new driver on the grid today who will be taking the newcomer Success Ballast into their car, and we'll introduce them shortly. As for our sprint races, the race 1 grid shall be set based on results of qualifying. Meanwhile, race number 2 shall be set based on results of race 1, so we take the finishing positions of race 1, and we immediately set the grid for race number 2 based on them. So whoever wins takes pole position for race 2, and we line the grid up behind them. Race number 3's grid, meanwhile, shall be a reverse grid based on results of race number 2, with the reversal position being drawn live from the commentary booth between P6 and P12. And we'll be cutting to the commentary booth, and we'll bring out the Next Gen Racing Lottery Bowl, as brought to you by Sam Cases UK, and we will be drawing up a number out the bowl, and it'll be interesting to see where we get our first repeat number, given the fact we've had 2 different numbers so far, 10th and 8th. Will we see one of them come again, or will we see another one of the numbers come on out? We'll have to wait and see. Each driver drivers shall have one fast repair available in each race, and each race shall conclude after either the allotted lap amount, which is 10 laps, or alternatively 30 minutes, whichever expires first, particularly if we have safety cars and red flags. Now, we do have an independent race director shooting the races with track limit infringements and deploying a safety car, and our drivers have been warned about track limits at both what is turn number 1 and also turn number 8, if my memory serves me correctly, and penalties for track limit infringements shall be distributed as follows. Your first and second warnings, there's no penalty. Your third warning, there's a 5-second post-race time penalty. On the fourth warning, we double it to 10, and on the fifth warning, you've earned yourself a drive-through penalty that must be served when 3 laps have been awarded. Racing incidents between drivers, meanwhile, shall be reviewed post-round. Now, we continue to have success ballast applying throughout the championship, and it is applied on a race-by-race basis in the overall standings, plus the Prime and AM classes specifically, and for qualifying of race number 1, that ballast will be applied based on the championship standings into this round. For race number 2, we'll see it updated based on the finishing positions of race 1, and we repeat and rinse again for race number 3 by applying it based on the finishing positions of race number 2, and drivers new to the series in a given round shall run a newcomer success ballast of 16.6 kilograms for all 3 races. It may be changed, however, if they finish in a position where they would earn themselves more success ballast, and that driver today, the new on the grid for today, albeit he is a returning driver because he is a familiar face, is Marcelo Reles. Many of you may remember him from what was Season 5 when he made his wonderful debut at the Silverstone International Circuit. And well, there's all the success ballast values on screen for you, ladies and gentlemen. We can take a pause of the live stream there in order to grab a photo of them if you want to follow along and understand who's got all the success ballast in their car. But as we come away from our success ballast table, that's enough rules and regulation. We're all here for the racing, and well, as we do see our drivers heading around. Well, there's our new man on the grid today, or our turning man, I can say, and he's going to be in the pro class is Marcelo Reles, and we look forward to seeing what he's going to be able to do there as he gradually winds his way on around the privateer and the 738 machine. And well, he is a very fast driver there, indeed has proven to be very ferocious in that Honda Civic Type R FK8 in previous seasons, and we look forward to seeing him bring it all to the foray and what he's going to be able to do as he makes his way on around the Snetterton circuit today. But as he heads on down there in towards what will be the Brundon Inter-Nelson complex, well, from him we do look to our second place man in the overall championship, and that is none other than Luciano Witvoet, and Witvoet right now down in 8th place here in this qualifying session. But remember, he does have the second place success ballast, and success ballast is going to feel very heavy and cumbersome around Snetterton because it's a long lap. It is the lap in the best part of the region. Always just under 2 minutes for our fastest drivers in qualifying trim. As we can see, Adam Delmont has set a 1 minute 58.782, which is 6/10 faster. Marcelo Reles' time a little bit off, and then we do have Mikey Doble sitting in third, but Witvoet dealing with the best part of 50 kilograms of success ballast there. But the man who's got all the weight in the car, he's currently in the pit lane. You can see him parked up there, and that is none other than Wojciech Swirydowicz, the number 80 driver there, who is looking to make himself a 3-time NXTCC champion come the end of this season. Of course, Mikey Doble, our most decorated before, Swirydowicz and Jamie Dory both having 2, and who is going to be our new champion at the end of this season, or will it be another repeat champion? We'll have to see. But look into the AM class, well, we do see Sam Bradley out there, and the number 69 driver here, well, a very friendly face on the grid, no doubt about it, but also a fast flying face at that, and he'll be looking to try and get himself right stuck into the battle with the AM class drivers, given the fact he hasn't had much luck this season so far, and it really has been the story of what has been Mark Sykes versus Marcel Fritsch. But Sam Bradley, in his own right, given previous seasons, particularly Season 7, is one of those drivers out there that you would imagine should be right in the hunt with the leaders in the AM class, because he's got absolutely tremendous pace out there, and well, the number 69 driver will be looking and quite eager to get himself right back into the hunt there, given the fact that we have only had 2 rounds so far, but every round truly does matter and every point matters, as we said earlier. But as he comes in towards the left hand there, turn at number 3 and outwards towards 4, will rolling his way on around. We do look from what is one of our AM drivers out there to one of our Pro-Ams, and it's our fastest Pro-Am at the moment, and that is Sam Van Olst, where he won't be the fastest there if he keeps going deep through a Wilson hairpin in the Audi RS3, but I think they're just experimenting with how late he can go on the brakes. He roars his way up into Palmer Corner at turn number 3, and well, the Audi RS3 driver here, who hasn't had the best of luck in the NXTCC in previous seasons, he really has had a bit of a mystifying luck with regards to a race 3 of the day, where he's been one of those Pro-Am drivers who's really benefited from the reverse grids and normally started on the front row, if not on pole position for race number 3, but there's always been a lot of bad luck that struck him over the course of the 3rd race, albeit it has broken that run of bad luck in previous seasons, particularly in Season 7 and 8, but at the same time there, he'll be hoping today he can get things done on the merit from qualifying into races 1 and 2, and that's not to say he's not deserved his victories when he has made them in the Pro-Am class, or indeed his podiums, but he's definitely had mystifying luck, and I think he wants to try and put that to bed, and indeed do things without the intervention of what is some outside assistance. But as he comes out of what is turn number 8 and onto the back straight, we do say hello there in the Facebook chat to both Katie Eames, and I'm doing very well, thank you, Katie. How about yourself? And you say it's everyone's favourite unfortunately shaped track. And well, I can see what you're on about there, and well, I'm not going to explain that for our younger viewers tuning in. Potentially ask your parents there, but don't say I didn't warn you if you do decide to ask your parents. And we also do say hello to Rhino Esports there's Facebook group chat, and they do say best luck to the Rhino drivers tonight, including Russ, Craig, and Marcel. And that's, of course, Marcel Fritsch, Craig Tillerson, and Russell Fowler. And are any of them out there on circuit at the moment? And the answer is no, they're not. I believe they're all parked up in the pit lane as we do look back to our newcomer for today. And was he makes his way around. Remember, he does have the 16.6 kilograms of what is newcomer success ballast for this season. And that is to make sure that he joins the season, he joins the grid, and he finds himself right in the hunt there, enjoying the fighting from outset. But as he rolls his way around, and in towards what will be turn number 6. Well, we don't have too long left before we do go into that qualifying session. We were going to grab a word with perhaps one of our drivers before we did go racing, but I think in the end, in fact, we are going to hold the phone there as we look to Benjamin Gregory as he makes his way on down the start-finish straight. And I think all the drivers getting their heads down right now and wanting to get themselves set as best as humanly possible. And we can completely understand here and the fact they will all be eager to make a very strong impression on qualifying before they get themselves ready to go racing. And Gregory right now making his way through the right hand there for Full Tilt Motorsport with boosted motorsport and heading in towards turn number 2 for his final time before he has to do it in anger for qualifying. And for the Full Tilt Motorsport team, it's definitely been a mixed set of fortunes so far this season, but they'll be looking to try and put their fortunes on the right path as they come into this race today. And well, who can blame them there, as they will want to try and have everything go their way and go upwards, as will Conrad Kula, who's definitely found himself right in the middle of the fighting all the way through the season so far, and the Hyundai Elantra driver there roaring his way around for what is the World of Racing team with STR Motorsports, and coming down into that braking zone here for the last corner of what is at Murray's, and roaring his way out of the corner right now. And as he does so, ducking into the toe there, and I believe that is on the back of the car of Lewis Delmont, using it as a little bit of slipstream, and he'll be hoping he can do that over the course of qualifying, if not the race distance. But that is qualifying, no, that is practice complete, ladies and gents. I was going to say it's qualifying, that's pre-qualifying in the way complete, but now we are going to do the business, of course, because it is time to head back onto circuit and see how our drivers get on over 15 minutes of qualifying here. And now nobody will be pulling punches as they look to go the fastest of everybody around the Snetterton 300 circuit. So as qualifying does get underway then, well, it's 15 minutes and it's go, go, go as quickly as you can in terms of leaving that pit lane. The circuit is quiet for now, but as they all pile their way out the pit lane, it's going to be Adam Delmont who's the fastest man out there. But does that mean he's going to be the fastest driver out there in terms of qualifying pace? Well, we will have to wait and see. But some of you might be asking right now, well, what can we expect in this qualifying session? How can it potentially dictate the flow of the racing? Well, the Snetterton circuit, the longest circuit on our calendar, 2.98 miles. It is a long circuit. Now, I keep saying it, but why do I keep saying it? Well, unlike the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, which was practically less than half the length for Snetterton last time out, indeed the majority of our circuits only come up to what will be 2/3 of the length of this circuit, if not less, somewhere between half and 2/3 on average. But the point around here is you need to absolutely be dialed in for the entirety of the lap, and it's not easy, and you will not get that many attempts to repeat a good qualifying lap. So therefore, all the drivers right now will be very eager to use this out lap as their ultimate warm-up lap to try and get the temperature in the tyres, and then they will be trying to make that impression, which is to try and get a good lap on the board before everyone starts to fan out around the circuit. And whilst the circuit is big, when you do have the best part of what is 35 drivers out on the circuit, well, you can imagine it is going to get crowded, and the actual natural space you give yourself in the end is not going to be that plentiful, as we do see Mark Sykes making his way off the throttle then back onto it, giving it away to the Hyundai Elantra, and I believe that is none other than Jamie Dory letting him go as they come out of Agostini and in towards Hamilton. But the point being around here, you want to get a good lap on the board as quickly as possible, a good banker lap as a minimum, and after getting that banker lap on the board, then you need to start thinking about, okay, can I find some slipstream, particularly down the back straight or the Bentley straight? That'll be worth a couple of attempts. Can I also perhaps find it going out of Murray's Corner onto the centre straight, the start-finish straight? And if you can, that might be worth what is a further attempt or two, and it could make or break the difference you being on pole and you being towards the bottom end of the top 10 proverbially. So there are two aspects to this qualifying session. You need to get a good banker lap on the board, and then you need to find a way to be able to further it through the use of the toe and also a much lighter car. But to take us around for an initial flying lap of the circuit, well, as he makes his way on down the start-finish straight, it's none other than Adam Delmont in number 37, NXTGEN Green Pro Machine, as the Honda Civic Type R driver takes us onto a lap. So heading towards turn 1 and looking to his left-hand side there, braking at about 70 metres from corner apex, dabbing the brakes, getting the nose chucked into the corner in 4th gear and making his way out of Richards, keeping over to the left as he heads in towards Wilson. Onto the brakes he'll go, braking at the 100-metre board on his left-hand side all the way down to 1st gear. Wait for it, and blast the throttle there to avoid the understeer as he comes out and now into turn number 3. Bringing the car over to the right-hand side, it feels like a long run, but it's actually quite a short one into Palmer corner as he fights with the steering wheel there, still trying to get some heat in those front tyres. We're coming out to the left-hander and now rolling up towards Agostini. It's a lovely run here as he comes on down, but unites the circuit, gradually deflects off to the right, and as he does so, he'll point the car to the right, but get ready to point the nose into the hairpin's apex. Does so, mounts the curve there, plenty of apex curve in 1st gear, quick rotation, and now upwards he'll go towards what is turn number 5 at Hamilton. Through the left-hander, and as he rides the apex there, it's a quick dart over to the left-hand side, and he's got to do it quickly because he's got to get on the brakes for Oggie's corner at turns 6 and 7. Through that right-hander he goes, and then for the double apex, and out of the corner, and now upwards towards Williams Bend at turn number 8. Here it's all about a late apex, goes quite early there on the apex. I think he'll be hoping he can go a little bit late on the next lap. I think just missing his brake marker there and going a bit early. And now down the back straight he goes. And as he does so, well, Adam Delmont right now can take a brief breather. But will we see 6th gear in the Honda Civic? I doubt it. Or if we do, we'll see it only for a brief moment. And they're heading into Brundle here, under the bridge, onto the brakes. But immediately now stamping on the brakes here through Nelson, coming through the right-hander, the infamous corner where Bobby Thompson went straight on in a battle with what was Adam Delmont, I believe, at the time. If not, it was trying to remember the other driver. I think it was Dan Mould alternatively, but as Delmont comes out of the bomb hole corner, through corner he goes, the never-ending right-hander at turn number 12, and at one point it does end, and there it ends as he brakes for 100 metres from corner apex, fighting with the steering wheel every step of the way as the rear brakes unlock before the front brakes, and coming out of the corner. And down the start-finish straight he goes, Exton onto the centre straight, and as he does, well, what's the reference lap going to be here from Adam Delmont? It was a good lap, it was a smooth lap, and it's going to a 1 minute 59.322, but I suspect some of his rivals will feel as they can go a bit faster. William Guthrie does not, he's 7 tenths down. Sam Van Nolst in the Audi RS3, well, a little bit of assistance there from the younger member of the Delmont family just in front of him. Well, he sets what was at the time 2nd place, but now it's dropped to 4th place, but still the fastest pro-am lap so far. We've still got to get quite a few of our pro-ams on the board, to be fair to them, but Sam Van Nolst definitely dictating the pace there in the Audi RS3 for the Pro-Ams, the 2nd of our 3 classes, and further down we've yet to get any of our AMs put a lap in. We have got Matthew Jordan in the pit lane. I wonder if there's a problem with the car. We'll soon find out as we see Sam Bradley coming on down. And Bradley on to what is his 2nd flying lap. Well, he's not been able to get a valid lap on the board so far, so I think for Bradley it's all about just simply getting his head down here and trying to put a new lap together. But going into a turn at number 3, coming through the left-hander of Palmer, well, as he does so there, negotiating the traffic. And here's the point, you can still see on the circuit map on the top right corner of the screen how crowded the cars are. Nobody really able to space out, because we do have, of course, that contradiction here, which is you could let yourself be spaced out, but if you try to do so, then you lose qualifying time. And doing some quick mathematics, if you exclude the outlap, which is the best part of 3 minutes, so 15 minutes becomes 12 minutes of qualifying effectively, perhaps a pit stop for what is a new set of tyres. Well, if you do that pit stop, that is going to also cost you what is the best part of a minute if you do it on circuit. Or alternatively, you tow to the pits, well, then you're going to be losing another outlap's worth of time. Well, if you just go for that pit stop, it really means you've only got the best part of 10 minutes to set your qualifying lap. And with a lap being on average 2 minutes, you might be able to sneak in a 6th qualifying lap, but really you've only got 5 qualifying laps in order to get things done, and that is not a long period of time, as Matthew Jordan in the Next Gen Racing Pink 86 Honda Civic has made his way out of the pit lane then and goes on to what is his out lap. And as he does so, we say hello there to little boy D-Doid in the YouTube chat, and also Drisk MP3, both cheering on this man Matthew Jordan, making his debut for this season. And remember, at Donington Park National, he put in an absolutely brilliant set of performances, even picked up his own first podium in his first race of the season. Didn't quite replicate that in races 2 and 3, but definitely had a lot of fun. Last time I was at the Brands Hatch Indy circuit, wasn't quite as forthcoming, and therefore he's got to try and dig in today and find a little bit more pace out there. But a new fastest lap of this qualifying session, Wojciech Swirydowicz, a 1 minute 58.853. Really raising the bar there by 2.5 tenths over Adam Delmont's provisional pole time from earlier, and now the provisional pole time very firmly into the 58. And I think for Swirydowicz here, he'll be feeling that one thing is coming his way, and that could be another pole position. But then again, we've got plenty of drivers out here all eager to try and make an eager impression. Speaking of which, one of them just in front of Swirydowicz, and that is his main rival, and that's Mikey Doble, one of his main rivals, I should say, but perhaps his ultimate rival of previous seasons, where these two definitely have had some brilliant battles from what was Season 4 all the way through to Season 8, and they're here once again on the grid for Season number 9. But as Doble comes in towards Hamilton, well, the number 1 driver here in the Veloster using its all-round nature in order to try and get the best possible lap. And that all-round nature is not going to lead it astray, but one of the interesting parts will be in the fact that we do have these Audi RS3s out there, which that may be thinking right now, well, why are we seeing the Audis come on quite strong here at the Snetterton circuit? Well, firstly, there's not any high apex curves beyond those what is turns 13 and also at number 9, and in putting those together, it does mean, well, in fact number 10 I should say, coming through what is Brundle into Nelson. But the point being here, high curves are where the Audi really struggles, much like the Honda Civic Type R. But the Audi does very well in the acceleration zones, especially if you've got a long straight, and there are 2 long straights here, and that's where the Audi can absolutely fly high. In low speed corners, that's where it does struggle a little bit, so coming out of the hairpins of Wilson and also Agostini, so turns 2 and 4. But as we can see, Matthew Addy there stepping aside to let one of the JWM Esports machines that make its way on through, or JWM Motorsport machines, if I say their title correctly. And I think that might have been the car of what was, it wasn't Michael Lees, it was Reese Watt making its way through. And there is Reese Watt, as our cameraman does find him. And the number 32 driver coming out that left-hander and looking absolutely fine right now to complete another lap. But is it going to be a fast lap here for Reese Watt? That's going to be the answer. And right now, all his sector times would suggest no, it's not. And it's really a setup lap as he comes across that timeline. In terms of car choice, it does seem as though the Audi then firmly right in the mix, but also we do have the Veloster, its all-round nature, that's not going to go too badly around here. The Hondas may struggle a little bit on the straights, but they will do very well in the infield section, so really turns 1 through to 8, that's where the Hondas will go well, and the Hyundai Elantras will be similar to the Audi, albeit they will have to be concerned about tyre temperatures. In fact, as we do bring the weather up on screen, on what will be on the right-hand side of your screen, do we get an indication of what the weather's looking like? And the answer is yes, we do, and as we can see, well, the weather here today, we do have a track temperature currently at 38 degrees centigrade, ambient at 20, so it's not quite hot enough yet to really expose the front tyre degradation of the Elantras, but it does come close. As soon as you go above a track temperature of 40 degrees centigrade, the Elantra drivers already start to struggle with those front tyre temperatures as those tyres just start to go away. And one of the many examples here being full tilt motorsport with boosted motorsports 504 of Ben Altria as he comes out of turn 6 and 7 in towards turn 8 he goes, and well, he'll be pushing those fronts hard, but those front tyres will only have a certain amount of life, and over qualifying, when you want the optimum life of the tyre for one lap in the race for all 10 laps, you want to try and make sure that tyre life goes the full distance. As he heads down the back straight, 5 minutes still left on the clock and some more laps still to come in. Well, Mikey Doble has moved his way into second, still 1.5 tenths off of the fastest lap of qualifying set by Swirydowicz, who does have the 56.1 kilograms of success ballast in that Audi, so is absolutely putting on a monstrous charge in his qualifying session. Doble, meanwhile, with the best part of 40 kilograms of success ballast, will third place in the Oval Drivers' Championship going into today, and the number 1 driver, well, he'll want to try and get himself back onto number 1 as he makes way into the pit lane. I suspect that's going to be for a quick tyre change in order to give himself fresher rubber with a lightly fueled car for the end of qualifying to try and deliver the best possible lap. But coming on to the AM class then, well, who's the fastest AM out there as Isaac Doble improves to 6th place on a 59.286. Well, it is Marcel Fritsch, who we said his aim today would be to strike back versus Mark Sykes, and he's doing exactly that because Mark Sykes right now down in 5th place in the AM's 30th overall, not quite on the pace of the rest of the AM field, as Fritsch right now dropping to 26th there, with Nick Clemens moving up to 21st on 59.912, but Marcel Fritsch definitely does have the best part of a 10th between himself and Sam Bradley, albeit I can imagine that Sam Bradley may have an ace up his sleeve that he's getting ready to deploy as he heads deeper and deeper into his qualifying session, and Fritsch into the pit lane as well. I think right now a lot of drivers thinking, okay, it's either run the rubber all the way to the end of qualifying or come in for a fresh pair of boots, and Mark Sykes doing the same as well. I think he's noticed what Fritsch is doing and he's going to do the same here to give himself the best possible tyre, but it does mean, given the length of time taking to change the tyres over and the length of the pit lane, well, he's going to tow himself to what will be his pit stall, so therefore he'll be going back out there with a fully fueled car and a new set of tyres, but he's doing that to save time. Well, if you are changing those tyres in the pits, you are going to lose the best part of a whole minute end to end of the pit lane, and therefore you're only going to have what will be one, perhaps a second qualifying lap if you're able to sneak it in time. So it's going to be a bit of a gamble here, as meanwhile some of the big surprises in this qualifying session. Well, firstly, Andrew Pike all the way down in 27th place. He is the lowest placed at the moment, I believe, of what is our pro drivers. So Pike really struggling at the moment in qualifying, but he has been having some challenges this season so far. Things have not clicked together the way he's wanted them to. So I think for him, it's all about really trying to do a bit of damage limitation in qualifying and see how gradually he can pick his way through the field. And well, that's one thing that Andrew Pike is no stranger to doing. He is one of the best battling drivers out there. In the fact, he may not be the fastest, but he knows how to use a touring car properly. And coming out of turn number 8, the Sim Racing Collective driver, I think collectively, and much like his team, will want to move a little bit further up the order if he can, particularly to get closer to his teammate, who is coming up behind him, Tom Davidson. And I wonder whether they're potentially going to use a little bit of strategy here to try and leapfrog themselves up the order. Davidson is 11th currently, so he's almost in the top 10 positions. But meanwhile, for what is Pike all the way down there in a very lonely 28th place, well, I think Pike right now will be definitely trying to dig deep here and try and find some final time before qualifying is over. The only driver yet to get a lap on the board of our 34 entrants for today is Matthew Jordan, as he comes on through the Hamilton corner once again onto now his 4th qualifying lap, and I think still exploring those track limits, getting himself familiar with the circuit. And some of these drivers, of course, when they're new to the grid, really, or new to the season's grid, I should say, having to really learn each and one of these circuits as they visit them. They'll put in the practice, but being out there and qualifying is where you really get to grips with the circuit for the first time, when you have to attack it in anger and try and find that ultimate lap time. But in the end, he'll try to find what will be a good lap time to go with. As Andrew Pike, where he puts a lot of hearts at rest in the pit lane, particularly for the Sim Racing Collective team, because he does move to 12 on a 59.488, and as he comes on down there into Wilson Hairpin, he has got the close company of Lewis Delmont. But coming from Andrew Pike, let's look a little bit further up the order. We look to your leading pro-am now in the qualifying matter of Ben Aldria. He's currently 6th place in the 504 Elantra, and looking very good out there as he makes his way on around the corners there of, I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, that's coming through at turn 6, 7 and in towards 8. And as he comes out of the right-hander and onto the back straight, Waltria currently the best part of a distance of a 10th faster, well, in fact, not even a 10th, 6/10, not 6/10 faster, 600ths faster, I should say, than Matthew Addy. As I mince my words, but I don't mince the matter, which is Matthew Addy is not too far behind in the next-gen racing Audi RS3 LMS, but he'll want to try and find a little bit more time out there before all is said and done. I think he'll want to be closer. But remember, Matthew Addy was the first driver ever, a non-pro driver, to take an overall pole position in qualifying. He did it here at this circuit, I believe, 2 seasons ago. How race 1 went in that day, well, it didn't quite go the way he wanted it to, let's say that, but still an achievement there. Matthew Addy so far, I believe, one of only 2 Pro-Am drivers to ever take an overall pole position. The name of the other driver does escape me at the moment, but I'm sure I'll remember it later on today, ladies and gentlemen. But Matthew Addy definitely has pulled some surprises here, and well, many would wonder, why has he not been a Pro-Am champion in recent seasons? And indeed, it has been a frustrating last couple of seasons for Matthew Addy, but he does seem to be right back on course here today in the same case as the next-gen 777 machine. But with only 15 seconds to go, well, we haven't got long left in this qualifying session. I think Mikey Doble comes to the end of what will be his last qualifying lap here. He's not going to make another one, or if he is, he's going to have to absolutely boost as well on the start-finish straight, so his qualifying will be complete. Can he improve and what will be second? 1.5 tenths down on Swirydowicz's time, as we have got Sam Bradley there parked on in the grass, I think taking a bit of a scenic route to park up. And well, for Mikey Doble, it's not going to be an improvement by the looks as he crosses the line. Marcelo Velez sits in 3rd, a good qualifying performance from him to move to 3rd place right at the end of the session. Tom Davidson promotes himself to 7th place on a 59.259, so an absolutely stellar lap there from Davidson in the 42. And as I try to head on around, well, right now we are on those closing laps in the AM class, where it is the battle between Marcel Fritsch and Sam Bradley, who are separated still by almost the entirety of a tenth of a second in the favour of the Verano Academy driver of Marcel Fritsch, who does seem to be in control of this qualifying session. Bradley's in the pit lanes. I'll look at my Conte booth window, so Marcel Fritsch, I think, is going to take this pole position quite comfortably, unless Matthew Jordan can string together the ultimate lap here. He hasn't got a valid lap on the board. He heads towards the line. He's currently down in 34th place as the AM driver across the line. What's this going to be? He crosses the timeline, and it is going to be in the end an invalid lap. So Matthew Jordan in the end not getting a valid lap on the board. He will be starting last but not least of our AM drivers, and all of our drivers there in 34th place. A bit unfortunate, but I'm sure he'll make some ground in the race. Conrad Kula's heading towards the line. But he's still got what is the run of, I believe, Coram Corner, and then coming into the left-hander of Murray's. And as he heads through the right and into left-hand, to be very delicate on the brakes here. All of them have to, because they've got the brake biases shifted as far back to the rear of the car as possible in order to snap the car loose under brake and give it as much rotation as possible. And Will Cooler heading towards the line. He's on a personal best lap in sectors 1 and 2. He started this lap 18th. Where does he finish his qualifying session then? And, well, that lap is valid, and it puts him all the way up to 6th place. A phenomenal into the qualifying session for the world of racing STR Motorsports driver Conrad Cooler, absolutely delivering a last gasp chance, and that's a beautiful lap there. Leo Horn will be starting his day from 11th place, meanwhile, as he comes on down there right behind Cooler at the close, and that's all of our qualifying complete, ladies and gentlemen. So it's Wojciech Swirydowicz who's taken overall pole position despite the success ballast in the car. What a performance from him, well done to him. Mikey Doe will join him on the front row, and then on what is row number 4, we'll have your prime pole sitter starting 7th, Ben Altria, and he was able to take prime pole by the best part of 6 tenths. Owen Matthew Addy will start 12th. In the AM class, well, all of our AMs will be right at the back of the grid from 28 through to 34th, and it'll be Marcel Fritsch who lines up ahead of Sam Bradley by a 10th with pole position there. Well, congratulations to our pole sitters, but remember, pole position is just one part of the story. We've got 3 races ahead, and all 3 races are going to be thrillers, no doubt about it. But who is going to be winner of race number 1? Well, we will find out very soon, ladies and gentlemen, because race number 1 is not too far away. As Russell Fowler makes his way into what is turn number 6 and 7 there, coming through the right-hander of Okies, the Verano Esports driver, or the Verano Academy driver, coming in towards that right-hander combination, and now just moving his way on around there. And well, for Fowler, definitely keeping his head down here. Now he's qualified relatively well, 5th place in Prime and 16th overall, so he's got a good place to start from. But let's take away from qualifying then, ladies and gentlemen, and I believe now we do have a 5-minute warm-up session for our drivers before we do head to the grid. And that 5-minute warm-up session there to give the drivers the opportunity to take a bit of a breather. They will also be read their rights with regards to going racing, and after the 5-minute warm-up we will then have what will be the gridding procedure. But the 5 minutes just being used there in order to give our drivers an opportunity to take a breather and also receive a driver's briefing to understand exactly what the do's and don'ts are of the racing here today at the Snetterton circuit. But whilst we do wait for that warm-up to occur, and indeed the driver's briefing to be completed, we're going to take a brief breather, and do let us know in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, who you're cheering on for this evening and what your expectations are. Who do you think are going to be taking victory in this race, and who do you think will be absolutely giving it their all to come through the field? Indeed, who may be winning in our Prime and AM classes, as we do see Tweedale there, who is cheering on Matthew Jordan as well. And I believe saying, not sure if Matt heard, he's not posted a time. Indeed, Matt Jordan not setting a valid time there. I think track limits catch him out each and every step of the way, but it sometimes happens, but it's all part of the learning experience there, and that's to be expected for our AM tries. That's not to belittle him, but for the fact there, he'll push himself to the limit and he'll gradually reel himself in order to make sure he doesn't end up crossing those lines as much as he has done in the qualifying session. As we do wait there, and we do see Sam Bradley giving us a bit of entertainment down in the pit lane with the car and the flashing lights. Unfortunately, we can't grab him for what is a quick chat because he is having to listen to the driver's briefing right now. Otherwise, we'd love to get a chat with a couple of our drivers, but we do just wait for that driver's briefing to be completed. And well, we're not too far away from it, given the fact, as we do bring the timer up on the top center of the screen there, we can see the warm-up timer in the top center. And well, this will last the best part of 5 minutes, and we're already 2 minutes in. And in fact, as we do have what is this warm-up time, we are just going to take a bit of a brief breather, ladies and gentlemen, and have a word from our title sponsor for this season, and that is none other than Doble Motorcycles. We'll be back for race number 1 shortly.
Speaking of Mikey Doble Racing, if you'd like to support Mikey as he pushes it to the limit out on track, you can do so by following the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page as seen on screen. Additionally, if you want to represent the 88 Army at a BTCC weekend, Mikey Doble Racing has some fantastic merchandise available just for you, as may be found either via the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page or alternatively in the Doble Motorcycles store at dobledirect.co.uk. Don't miss out on being a part of the 88 Army today.
And we do head back to circuit side, ladies and gentlemen, with only a minute left in the warm-up procedure. The driver briefing has been completed. All drivers will be absolutely itching and ready to go, as we see Russell Fowler there coming down onto the back straight. Now, a special shout-out should be said to Craig Tillotson, his teammate, who last time out, some of you may remember, at the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit, secured his first podium in the AM class of the season, and he enjoyed some brilliant battles across all three races. Really was the best of the rest outside of the podium finishers in races 1 and 2, but fought his way through to that third place finish in the final race of the day. Whereas Mark Sykes took all 3 wins and Marcel Fritsch took all 3 second places at Brands Hatch Indy. And there was the question of who in the AM class was going to be taking the final podium spot in each race. And well, it was Craig Tillotson who took the final podium spot in race number 3. But Cal Murray will be looking to do some of that today as well. Perhaps sneak his way onto the podium. Will he be able to do so? What's going to happen? And indeed, could we see Matt Jordan come all the way through the field as well? For all that and more, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for us to head to the grid for the first 5 races of today at the Snetterton 300 circuit. And as our drivers make the way onto the grid, this is how they'll line up for our opening race of the evening. It is Wojciech Swirydowicz who has taken pole position now on a 1 minute 58.853. An absolutely brilliant pole lap there, no doubt about it, and delivering a fine one as he looks to try and charge forwards in his championship advantage. From the Semper Racing driver, it's then Mikey Doble who lines up in second place for Doble Sim Racing in the company of Marcello Reles. The Argentine driver returns to the grid in fine form for the W2 ePro GP team, ahead of Adam Delmont who lines up full for NXTGEN Green. Behind them, on row number 3, it'll be Luciano Witvoet for World of Racing at STR Motorsports, and the Dutchman is in the company of Conrad Kula, the Polishman, for World of Racing at STR Motorsports, his teammate. Ben Altrier lines up in 7th, your prime pole sitter for Full Tilt Motorsport with Boosted Motorsport, ahead of Tom Davidson for the Sim Racing Collective Esports. Gavin Garner starts his day 9th for NXTGEN Pink, and he's in the company of Isaac Doble, who completes your top 10 for Doble Sim Racing. Behind them, on row number 6, it's Lee Horn, who is best of the rest in length for NXTGEN Pink, ahead of WSS Racing's Matthew Addy. We then have Andrew Pike for the Sim Racing Collective Esports, just missing out on the top 10, but a 7th row start is nothing to cry about, as Alan McCain will join him there 14th for iRacing Esports. Sam Smith, the teammate of McCain, starts 15th, ahead of Russell Fowler for Rhino Esports, and then it'll be Sam Van Ols for Goldwyn Motorsports that completes a run of Pro-Am drivers there, and that's going to be a tasty Pro-Am top 5 pack. Jamie Dory completes what is your 9th row of the grid for NXTGEN Pink, and your top 20 is completed by Lewis Delmont for NXTGEN Green and Track Scotland's Stuart Wyness. Behind them, it will then be the combination of Michael Lees for JWM Motorsport, ahead of Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports. Then we have William Guthrie for Full Tilt Motorsport and Boosted Motorsport, ahead of Ben Gregory, his teammate, with Alexander Paulik for World of Racing at STR Motorsports 25th, ahead of Duncan Rice for Goldwyn Motorsports. Resport starts 27th for JWM Motorsport, ahead of Marcel Fritsch for Rhino Esports, your AM pole sitter. And your top 30 is completed by Sam Bradley for NXTGEN Green and WSS Racing's John for Collins. And completing the grid will be Callum Murray and Mark Sykes on row number 16, ahead of Craig Tillotson and Matthew Jordan. And that's how they'll all line up on this grid, ladies and gents. But an absolutely packed grid of 34 cars, and we're all the AMs at the back of the field. But everyone absolutely are ready and itching to go racing, no doubt about it. But this man, Wojciech Swirydowicz, is the man who will need to have a plan, and he'll need to try and break away as quickly as he possibly can do today, as they all get themselves set and ready to go for round number 3 of the championship here, and race number 7 of the campaign out of our 30 races. But as we wait there, everyone in position, everyone very eager to go, and they're just waiting for those lights to go on as all the grid is in place. And I think it's just for our race director now to put those lights on. It's a long line of touring cars there, all lined up together, and what is a long run down towards turn number 1. But Wojciech Swirydowicz on the left, Mikey Doble on the right. The lights are going on for the first time today at Snetterton, and it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. And it's the lights out and away we go here for our first race of the evening as Wojciech Swirydowicz gets an absolutely brilliant start as he roars his way up towards turn number 1. Mikey Doble side by side with Marcelo Reles. There's Reles getting a great start in the Honda, looking up the inside there into the opening corner. 2 wide they go through as the whole field now begins to pander its way onwards. Well, you see in the AM class there, Marcel Fritsch getting a good clearance from Jonathan Collins, who's battling side by side with Cal Murray as they head down towards the Wilson hairpin for the first time of asking. But into that braking zone they go, and as they do, we look to the blimp camera there as the whole field emerges from the opening hairpin, and as they come on down there, well, everyone's safely on through. Brilliant racing. Jonathan Collins gets ahead of Marcel Fritsch around the outside of the hairpin there into the AM lead goes Collins. A lovely move just in front of Duncan Rise, being shuffled down the pack as he tries to chase after Reese Watt and Benjamin Gregory. But heading in towards Agostini, well, now it's another hairpin upcoming, and the print gives us a brilliant view of seeing them all Constantino on in. Ben Altry a bit further up the road there, still leading the Pro-Am class, but Alan McCain second in the class right now, having jumped ahead of Matthew Addy. He's fallen back as we see a run wide there from Lee Horn. He takes the yard trimmings, brings himself back on immediately, but he'll have Russell Fowler up his inside there into Hamilton. They're going to get very tight between the two of them, and then Savalos decides to tuck onto the outside there, and as they come into the braking zone for turn number 6, well, side by side they go all the way through the right-hander in towards turn number 8. Through Williams they go, and Fowler holds on despite Van Ols being quite earnest to try and make his way around the outside of Oggie's corner. So down the back straight they go, and as they do, well, Jonathan Collins still battling with Benjamin Gregory here, trying to make a bit more progress as Marcel Fritsch has got Matthew Jordan right behind him. Matthew Jordan, well, for those of you wondering and saying that he was going to come through the field, well, he definitely has been the turn 1 torpedo there, because Matthew Jordan's already up into second place now and is absolutely flying for Next Gen Pink as he heads into the braking zone there for what is Brundle into Nelson, and we see Marcel Fritsch go straight on. He's going to rejoin very gradually then casually to the inside so as not to impede any of the racing, and Matthew Jordan right now is absolutely flying. We're going to have to get a replay of this race start because he's had a phenomenal start to this race. But as they come towards then the end of the open lap, well, there's Wojciech Swirydowicz and then onto the start finish straight. Well, 1 lap's complete and there's plenty more to go. So after 1 lap in 10, it's going to be Wojciech Swirydowicz who leads, and Marcelo Reles, Mikey Doble in 3rd, Adam Delmont sits in 4th, battling side by side with Luciano Witvoet, ahead of Conrad Kula, prime leader Ben Altry is 7th, ahead of Tom Davidson. Gavin Garnett is 8th, and then it's Gavin Garnett in fact is 9th behind Tom Davidson, and Andrew Bike is 10th, completing that running order with Jonathan Collins the AM leader all the way down in 26th place. But the fight is getting fierce here as we see Luciano Witvoet right now requiring some assistance from Conrad Kula, his teammate, to try and outfox Adam Delmont, but it's going to be Kula who goes deep. They're coming out of the hairpin, and as he does so, heading towards Palmer corner, well, side by side they go into the left-hander of Palmer and roaring the one out, and no change at the moment. And from Wilson to Palmer, it has been an absolutely brilliant bit of defensive driving from Conrad Kula, but Adam Delmont in the end, well, he's been able to squeeze his way back ahead, and Luciano Witvoet right now is trying to keep himself out of pressure, but I think Adam Delmont is going to keep him firmly under pressure as the top 3 is sneaking off into the distance. The gap to the top 3 already up to 2.5 seconds. We see the long train or tail of cars here as they roar the way through the 100 section and absolutely staying as close as possible to each other. Further on back, well, Jamie Dory here, who we ride on board with, he's definitely had a bit of a poor start. 4 places lost overall, 2 in the pro class. He's all the way down in 14th place. In fact, he's the lowest place pro at the moment. Jamie Dory for Next Gen Pink definitely not having a happy day at the office so far. Can he find his way through? The Next Gen Pink driver not naturally used to being this far down the running order, albeit I don't think he's going to mind battling with drivers as long as he has fun. But the problem is right now he'll want to make a bit of further progress. He's no stranger to making progress as a 2-time NXTCC champion. But heading down the back straight, this Elantra and Dory today just definitely has not meshed together. Indeed, an unfamiliar car compared to the cars he's raced the previous seasons has been the Audi, the Honda, and also the Veloster. But right now in the Elantra, the one car he's yet to really conquer, and I think it's going to be a long journey. If anything, it feels though it's the equivalent of Jason Plato having to take an absolute eternity in his time at BTCC before finally driving the Honda in what was his farewell season. But as they head in towards Coram corner, well, the 13 driver here makes his way close to the back of Guthrie. These two very close together, no change between them. William Guthrie having also a difficult qualifying session. Onto the brakes they go, takes a sneak peek up the inside of what was, I believe, Sam Smith, and Jamie Dory there tries to get involved as well, but no way through as they stay absolutely nose to tail here. Heading up towards turn number 1 once again, and as they do, well, Dory's so close he could reach out and tap the rear of his rival's car, but right now he'll want 2 hands on the steering wheel because he's going to look up the inside into Rich's corner. We'll try and get the nose in there. Guthrie cuts off his nose, Clibbins watches from behind, and Nick Clibbins being an ever-present threat for Dory. Well, as they come down towards turn number 2, Clibbins is going to make it diagonal 3 wide, looks up the inside in the Honda, Dory gets in the space, and Nick Clibbins gets it firmly made to the apex. And Clemens up into 22nd place there. The 9th place Pro-Am driver continues to move through the order, but only taking overall position. But in doing so, well, we need to take a look back at the green flag, ladies and gentlemen, how the race started. And we're going to get on board here with Matthew Jordan. Now, remember, Matthew Jordan started this race from what was last place on the grid. Well, how did he make that start is the question. Well, here it was, and what a start. Well, immediately picking off the driver to the right of him, or almost taking the driver to the right of him off, but indeed getting that move done. And we can see there a slow start for, I think that was the number 69 of Sam Bradley, who fell down. Albeit side by side they went into Rich's corner, and as he came on through the right hander, well, Mark Sykes are going very sideways on the first part of the apex, but it was therefore Jordan had to back off. So where did he make the place in this open lap? I think he's going to now give us a bit of an interesting insight here as he looked up the inside. Sykes went deep, so did Bradley, and that was 2 places gained there. And coming out of the corner, well, Matthew Jordan was battling side by side with Sam Bradley, but coming into Palmer, well, this is where Jordan tried to go all the way around the outside, but I think the places were made later on in the lap then. But definitely a brilliant start from Matthew Jordan, and we're not going to be able to stay with it for the whole lap, ladies and gentlemen, as we do return to your live racing pictures. And as we do, well, there's plenty more to come, but definitely a ferocious start there for Matthew Jordan, but we absolutely love to see it, and well, we look forward to plenty more as I try to go deeper and deeper into this race, as we do see there many of you cheering on at Matthew Jordan as he continues to try and chase after Jonathan Collins. And as he does so, well, back to our leading drivers in terms of the picture, and as Jamie Dory in 22nd, who's lost 1.5 seconds to William Guthrie, and I believe there was an off track for Jamie Dory that's caused that gap to open up. Alexander Bullock, meanwhile, battling with Sam Smith, and William Guthrie trying to get right into the fray of this battle as they go into lap number 4. Side by side, they make the way through turn number 1, and Smith right now in a lighter car, definitely trying to find his way all the way around. But look at this, and it's going to be William Guthrie who thinks about it, but isn't going to be able to make the move here, or is he? Well, Smith is going to be on the outside, and Bullock goes deep with him. Here comes Guthrie then. They may be fighting over what is 19th place for them, but to them it's an important place. It's 2 pros squaring off, but it's going to be defensive driving from Bullock all the way through Palmer corner. That's going to cost them more time to Lewis Delmont. It's 1.5 seconds up the road. And it's going to see the 2 continue to squabble here all the way down towards Agostini. Will we see a change of position between them here? And the answer is no, we won't. They'll stay exactly as they were coming into the corner as they exited. But from then we look up to Ben Autry as he runs very wide there, and that is going to be a trip to the grass. That's going to enable a couple of drivers to look around the outside, including Gavin Gardner. And you'll see Andrew Pike and Isaac Doble queuing up there alongside. But also what we can see is that Andrew Pike has had to essentially let his teammate take the lead in all of this, and Tom Davidson powering on through, as well as that Doble there, I think, finding he's having to get the elbows out to make his way at the inside of Gavin Gardner coming down onto the Bentley straight. Well, side by side they go, and as they charge their way down here, well, who is going to be the leader of this battle as they make the way under the spectator entry bridge and into the braking zone they go. 2 wide into Brundle, but how will they emerge at Nelson? And a nitpick to the inside there from Isaac Doble says that he's going to come out the leader of that battle into Nelson corner. Lovely battling between them, great respect, and Isaac Doble in the end being calm, cool and collected under braking. But through the right-hander they go, and onwards towards Corham Corner. And as they come on around, we ride on board with the number 92 from Goldwing Motorsports, Sam Van Olst. And this Audi RS3, well, it has made some places early on. It's made 2 places in Prime, and it's looking to make plenty more before all is said and done today. Coming through the left-hander of Murray's and onto the start finish straight. Well, they are on lap number 5. They'll be going onto it very shortly. The leaders are on lap number 5, I should say, and the rest of the field will be coming onto it very shortly. And these laps are very quickly ticking away as Van Olst close. Can you look for the move on the Horn here? Well, Horn going defensive into turn 1. The pro driver here trying to hold on for some overall points and teams points, and Van Olst meanwhile trying to cut him back here coming out to the corner, gets very close to corner exit. When he looks to the inside, he will, but the Honda driver's going to cover him off there as Van Olst swings to the outside, a very late ditch to the outside, and Lee Horn there continues to frustrate as Horn being stronger in the brakes than the Honda does have the better brakes compared to the Audi, and when you see Van Olst there flash his lights, not too happy with what's the late dart to the inside from Horn, but Horn leaving it very legally late. I think if he'd gone any later would have been contact. Alternatively, he might have got a little bit of a word with regards to driving there as they roar the way on towards turn number 4. But right now, Lee Horn definitely feeling the pressure from Sam Van Olst. There's no question about it. And Russell Fowler queuing up behind. Behind all of them, Lewis Delmont's getting close to the back of this group as they come out of the left-hander Agostini and in towards Hamilton. A bit of run wide there. That's Sam Smith chopping up the weeds. Smith drops down to 21st place. Still 8th place in at the Pro-Am class, but he's got Nick Clemens right behind him, his teammate. And Lewis Delmont right now not in a happy place in this race. Hasn't gained or lost places really, at least in the Pro-Am class. He's still 7th, which is where he started. Will be at 18th overall and trying to make some more progress. But meanwhile, coming from the son to the father, Adam Delmont making his way on down the back straight, and you can see him here chasing after Luciano Witvoet, but he still finds himself in the WR sandwich where he is the Next Gen Racing green filling, in the fact that he's not been able to pass Witvoet, but he has not been able to shake off Conrad Kula either. Kula has fallen back a little bit, but not enough to be out of sight and out of mind as of yet. You really need a 2-second gap to feel safe. But from them, continue the theme of Next Gen green drivers. Well, we do come down to the AM class, and we can see the Next Gen green drivers not really in the picture of the top 4 AMs. They will be a bit further back. In fact, they're a long way back at the moment of Sam Bradley and Cal Murray. Now, I think there's been a bit of an instant for Cal Murray. Sam Bradley has fallen off of the back of Mark Sykes, but the top 4 in the AM class continues to push onwards. And Jonathan Collins, the comfortable AM leader at the moment. I think you'll feel that way, but Matthew Jordan is staying with him on this lap, has in fact got the gap down to sub, what is 7/10 of a second as they come out to left-hander turn at number 13. And on to the start finish straight, they go in that long view camera shot as we do see Reese Watt and Michael Lees getting quite comfortable with each other, and looking to Watt and Lees is going to swap in position here between the two teammates, and Reese Watt backs off the throttle there, lets Lees go, but Lees carries a bit too much speed for the opening quarter, and that's going to compromise both their respective lines going into Wilson. From them, we come to Stuart Winey, so as he emerges from Wilson Hairpin, going in towards the Palmer corner at turn number 3. Well, he's battling side by side here with Lewis Delmont, who's trying to pick his way through, and Winey right now not letting Delmont through whatsoever. These two battling for prime 6th place, coming in towards Agostini. Will bring himself right into the middle node is Stuart Winey, and Delmont right behind him, but swings to the inside there. It's going to be a late move under braking, but in at the end, too far back is Lewis Delmont. He decides to tuck back in and just get right back into the draft of that Elantra, and we do know that Elantra can pull very well at the corners. Oh, goodness me, as that was a bit of elbow out contact there between William Guthrie and, I believe, Sam Smith, unless I'm mistaken, or Nick Clemens. I think it was Clemens and Guthrie having a bit of a coming together there, coming out of Agostini, and, well, they seem to settle the differences as that is going to be a big run deep there with Alexander Paulik coming through Oggies and in towards Williams. So therefore, Paulik losing a place as Sam Smith is not going to hesitate at pulling the trigger on squeezing his way on through that one, and Sam Smith now up into 19th. But as they head on towards what will be the final half of this lap, well, we do look to Wojciech Swirydowicz. Leader comfortably into the bomb hole corner, and as he comes on out there into Coram, well, it does look as though the gap of 7/10 to Marcello Reles and Mikey Doble, a further 6/10 behind, is not a gap that's coming down anytime soon, albeit their respective lap times are relatively close, albeit that final lap, it should be said, the previous lap, a 1 minute 58.94, the fastest lap of the race so far from Wojciech Swirydowicz, and one of only 2 drivers set of 58 in the top 3, the other being Marcello Reles. Mikey Doble yet to find himself in the 58, but lapping consistently in the 59 zeros. We also have had a 58 from Adam Delmont at 58.98. It's the fastest lap point currently going to Wojciech Swirydowicz as he continues to push onwards, and Reles and Mikey Doble staying there right with him at the moment, but credit where it's due to Swirydowicz with all that success ballast in that Audi and still pushing onwards. And we do know that Audi perhaps doesn't feel the success ballast as much as the other cars, but it is the car whereby it does require a lot of graft. It's very different with comparison with the other touring car machines in the fact that it does have a very tight set of gear ratios for its first, second, third and fourth. It's only 5th and 6th where the gears open up, and that's why it has such sensational acceleration and top end speed. Albeit all these cars are limited in terms of top speed, they're all limited to the same amount of top speed, but how they get there is a very different story, with the Hondas taking an eternity to get there compared to the Audis, and the Elantra close to the Audi would have lost us somewhere in between. As the drives come down in towards Agostini for the 7th time of asking, or Lee Horn, still got Matthew Addy right there with him as Addy looks to go on the attack here, making the way out to the left-hander. These two previously teammates, but racing at 4 sister teams in the Next Gen Racing outfits for this season, as WSS Racing driver Addy trying to pick his way into 13th place, but Lee Horn digging in, and the 777 Audi in the Brown class also trying to fend off the charge of Sam Van Nost behind him, and Russell Fowler and Addy trying to hold on to the final spot on the Brown podium. He did start in 2nd in the Brown class, but was to lose that place to Alan McCain quite early on, and now the Audi driver here just simply trying to keep his head down and find a way to make sure he doesn't lose out on the podium charge here, because Snetterton has been one of those circuits that it's not been the most of kindest to him, albeit he's had some great success in qualifying, but under race conditions, Matthew Addy finding it to be a very different story. But coming out to the right hander there and onwards, well, we've got some battling in the AM class, let's not forget about it, and this is Jonathan Collins and Marcel Fritsch exchanging places here, are they? Well, it's going to be very close as Collins, and he has had Matthew Jordan go around the outside of him there. That was Matthew Jordan making the move for the lead of the AM class, so Matthew Jordan continuing to push forwards here, and as he does so, well, right now, Jordan absolutely flying. Can we get a replay of that move being made for the lead of the AM class? Yes, we can, and here it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is how Matthew Jordan took the lead of AM, and well, it was much earlier on in the lap. It was all the way into the Wilson hairpin. Up the inside, he went under brake, and Collins left the door open. A bit of contact between the two of them. Well, Collins, I think, will be a little bit annoyed at that, but still a little bit of knock to the doors there. It wouldn't be touring car if it wasn't, so Collins tried to come back at him into Palmer corner, but it wasn't to be. But the top 3 in the AM class very firmly together as they go onto lap number 8. Further on down, we also did see a change of places between what was Craig Tillotson and Sam Bradley, and this was for 4th place in the AM class on lap number 7. And here's the replay of the exchange between these two in the AMs, and that was coming out of, I believe, Hamilton into Oggie's corner. By looks of things, yes, it was. Tillotson goes a bit deep, and by running deep, opens up the door the Rhino Academy driver does to the next gen racing green driver Sam Bradley, who didn't hesitate to move into 4th in the class. As we come back to live racing then, and well, with not many laps remaining now, we only have approximately this lap plus 2 more, in fact half of this lap plus 2 more we should say, and now it's going to be Matthew Jordan under pressure as Collins tries to come back at him, and Jordan really feeling the heat here as he goes very deep coming out of Agostini. That is going to give Collins the opportunity to get close as we ride on board and look back from the rear of the number 86, Jordan chasing his first win of the season in the AM class here in this race, and we're only his 2nd podium of the season after a largely anonymous day of racing the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. And you can see how Collins getting incredibly close as they make the way out of Oggie's corner. 2 very different lines. Jordan right now trying to hook up those late apexes to give himself the run out the corner. We can see Collins really being aggressive there, trying to turn in early to offset the dirty air and also wanting to carry the speed. Jordan doing a little bit of bobbing and weaving down the straight, given the fact he's got no slipstream to work with in front of him. And Collins here looking one way then the other for Brundle into Nelson. Can he find it? No, he can't at the moment, but he'll stay right there with Matthew Jordan. Jordan goes a little bit deep under braking, locks up almost there, gets it stopped, but Jordan definitely feeling the heat as they head in towards bomb hole corner. And here comes Collins looking around the outside. Can he find the move? No, he can't, but trying to throw everything at Jordan here, looking one way, then the other, going for the classic cutbacks back and forth. But now we can see that Marcel Fritsch is trying to get involved here. And what I can imagine the Rhino Academy driver wants to try and take some places off of these two, at least take one off of Collins. Under braking, they go through left-hander. What Mark Sykes all the way down in last of the AMs, and overall of 34th place, overall 7th in the AM class. So it's a great opportunity for Fritsch to be able to gain some huge points on his championship rival and the championship leader in the AM class. But first he's got to find a way past Collins, and then he's got to try and find a way to Jordan with only 2 laps remaining as they head into turn 1 once again. But through that right-hander they go, and as they do, we're heading down towards turn at number 2, and Fritsch going to look to the inside here. He's got a lot of speed, he's got the brakes in the Honda, but can he outbrake the Veloster? He can't again as the Whiskey Runners racing machine just lines up there for WSS Racing, but there was a little bit of tap between the 2 of them, so Collins is going to have to go defensive here into Palmer, and look at the gap that Matthew Jordan's already pulling out, 9 tenths there, and Collins dropping back and having to fend off the charge from the Rhino Academy driver. But coming up towards Agostini, we'll leave them there for a brief moment, and we do look back towards what will be the front of the field, as this is Tom Davidson trying to hold on to 7th place versus the leading Pro-Am driver, Ben Altry, who's trying to gain more places here, and when doing so, gain himself some more overall points and points in the team's championship. The team's championship just being as important as the individual drivers' championships. Down the back straight they go. And you can see Altry getting closer and closer, and with that, a braking zone awaits him. Is he going to look for the move here, or is he just going to wait his turn? And the answer is he's going to play the patience game here. I don't think he wants to step out of line and potentially force a 2 wide here when he knows he can take Pro-Am victory, given that Alan McCain is all the way down in 12th place and the best part of 4 seconds back. So there's no value in really fighting for this unless he sees a golden opportunity. But if he can find it, well, then he'll be grateful for it. But I can imagine his priority will be to take class victory first and foremost as they head onto the final lap. Well, speaking of that final lap, here it comes then, ladies and gentlemen, as Wojciech Swirydowicz trying to make sure that Marcelo Reyes does not get the tyres. They head on to lap 10 of 10 in race 1 of the day here at Snetterton. Into turn 1 they go. Marcelo Reyes right behind, Mikey Doe in 3rd, and then we do see Luciano Witvoet holding on to 4th, but Adam Delmont is right behind him as they come in towards the opening corner. And Delmont right now, well, what can he do in a very heavily laden in terms of success ballast Honda Civic Type R, the best part of 25 kilograms of success ballast here. Meanwhile, Luciano Witvoet, well, he does have even more success ballast, but he's an Audi that really has the torque to offset it, particularly when you are on a circuit that's very flat. And therefore, as they come in towards turn number 3, well, for the Audi RS3 driver right now, all he's got to do is make that Audi as wide as possible and take away the advantage the next-gen Green 37 has, which is the ability to be faster under braking, or at least be late under braking. But defends the inside there. Delmont's going to look round the outside. Will he cut it back as he makes way to the apex? Yes, he will. But Witvoet has seen this before, and he knows. Just hold it on apex, park it there, and get the throttle down. And that's going to make it nigh impossible for the Honda to make its way through, particularly in the twisty section here of the 100 section. And that's where the Honda will be at its best. And that's where Delmont would want to try and get them move done, albeit they've got a long straight to go, and this is going to be into Audi territory now as they come out of Oggies into Williams. What can Delmont do? Well, the only thing he can do is get the best possible X here and absolutely glue himself to the back of Witvoet's car all the way out to Brundle into Nelson, and then hope he's going to be able to beat him under braking. Alternatively, find some magic at Coram into Murray's, but that's going to be much easier said than done as they head down the back straight then for the final time in a race number 1 of the day. And what Delmont thinks about it, he's going to try and go for it here under braking, or at least put some mental pressure onto his rival, and as they cover through, hops over the curb, but it does send him wide, and that may be enough to upset the tide and stop Delmont from being able to battle for fourth any further. Well, it does not look as though he's going to be making that move anytime soon, as off-camera Marcel Fritsch has found his way past Jonathan Collins for second place in the AM class, but as our drivers come on through the last couple of corners, we're out to turn number 13, goes Wojciech Swirydowicz, and as he heads the line, the checker flag will get ready to wave, and as it does so, well, for the first race of the day, it's going to go the way of Wojciech Swirydowicz and Marcelo Reles. Third place will go to Mikey Doble, and then it will be Luciano Witvoet who holds on to fourth ahead of Adam Delmont, with Conrad Kula in sixth ahead of Tom Davidson. Ben Altry is your prime winner in eighth. Andrew Pike and Isaac Dole complete your top 10. Gavin Collins best rest 11th ahead of Alan McCain, the runner-up in the prime class, and Matthew Addy third in prime, with Sam Van Osh just fending off Russell Fowler by 800ths at the line. Also the place change for Nick Clemens versus Sam Smith. They swap places at the finish line as well. What about in the AM class? Well, Matthew Jordan right now, is he going to hold on for his first AM win of the season? And the answer is it's going to be close, but he's going to do it as Matthew Jordan comes all the way through from the back of the AM field to take victory by 2.5 tenths over Marcel Fritsch, with Jonathan Collins round off the AM podium there in third place. What a drive from Matthew Jordan, no doubt about it. And I think some jaws are going to drop there in the spectator stands in the fact that Matthew Jordan, I think, not putting a lap in the end. Well, right now, it was not a qualifying session that he wanted, but it was definitely a race session which he's absolutely loved, and goodness me, what a race, ladies and gentlemen. We've also got a couple more drivers to make the way to the line, including Cal Murray, who comes across the line in 32nd there. What for him is 6th place in the AM class. And we've also got, last but not least, Duncan Moraes, I think, who'll be bringing himself home. In fact, no, we've got 2 drivers yet to come, but Duncan Moraes in the Honda Civic Type R will take 33rd overall there, and 13th in the prime class for Goldwyn Motorsports. And Mark Sykes will be your last finisher of this race, and he'll be making his way across the line in due course as all the drivers enter onto their cool-down lap. Albeit for Mark Sykes, this will be his final lap before a cool-down lap as he runs a bit deep there, coming out of Nelson, and right now just trying to keep himself together as he rolls his way through the bomb hole corner. But as he does so, well, let's look to your race winner then, Wojciech Swirydowicz, and what a victory for the Audi RS3 driver in the number 80. Absolutely tough to pass, no doubt about it. And whilst his rivals were keeping him honest, in the end he was honestly able to stay one step ahead, even in a very heavy car, and that's what he does best. But as we do look to our race finisher here, Mark Sykes, well, he will be the last of your finishers. He'll finish on the lead lap, and well done to him for staying in it to win it and taking 34th place. There's 7th place in the M class, and knowing that every point is critical as the championship goes on this season. But all the drivers begin to pile their way into the pit lane. And as they do a fantastic race number 1, a very close-knit set of battles here at Snetterton, and that sets us up for a brilliant race number 2, no doubt about it. Ben Altry there as well with an absolutely pinpoint precise prime victory. No pressure on his rivals behind, and enjoying a good scrap with the pros around him as well. Alan McCain second in the prime class there, and fend off the charge of Matthew Addy, who took third, and what a deserved prime podium, no doubt about it, as they all come into the pits, and we see Matthew Jordan on his cool-down lap here, and savouring the moment here in what will be the winner's circle of the AMS, the 86 driver, as Marcel Fritsch and Jonathan Collins come on for a little bit sooner, and will they'll all be very pleased with their results. Speaking of which, let's take a look at those race results subject to any insurers inquiries, and here they are from race number 1 of the day at the Snetterton 300 circuit in round 3 of season 9 of the Next Gen Racing Touring Car Championship, powered by Doble Motorcycles and brought to you on iRacing in the orange lobby. And as we can see, Wojciech Swirydowicz taking victory there for Semper Racing, head of W2 ePro GPs, Marcelo Reles from the pole, and the Argentine, it was then the Briton of Mikey Doble who rounded off the top 3 for Doble Sim Racing. 3 different manufacturers as well in the top 3. We love to see it on the podium. Well, Luciano Witvoet full place there for World of Racing at STR Motorsports, and Adam Delmont not able to find a way through and settling for 5th there for Next Gen Green. Conrad Kula, an absolutely brilliant 6th place there. Unfortunately, not able to make it into the top 5, but still taking that 6th from the World of Racing at STR Motorsports trial. We'll know there's plenty more to come as the racing goes on, with Tom Davidson moving his way forward to 7th place there for the Sim Racing Collective Esports. Ben Altry, well done to him on not just his 8th place finish overall, but also his class victory in the prime class there for Full Tilt Wing Motorsport with Boosted Motorsport. An absolutely brilliant drive there from the Elantra driver ahead of Andrew Pike for the Sim Racing Collective Esports, and Isaac Doble round off the top 10 there for Doble Sim Racing in what was a relatively stable race for him. Gavin Garnett was 11th best of the rest and will miss out on the success ballast into race number 2 for NXTGEN Pink, ahead of Alan McCain, the Prime runner-up for iRacing Esports. Lee Horn was between McCain for NXTGEN Pink and Matthew Addy, the third place finisher in the Prime class there, and Addy will be kicking himself knowing he lost out on the second place spot, but still be happy for third for WSS Racing in Pro-Am. Sam Van Alst completed your overall top 15 for Goldwyn Motorsports, taking the final overall championship point, but with full place in the Prime class as well. Russell Fowler rounding off the top 5 of the Primes there for Rhino Esports in a brilliant back and forth battle with his fellow Audi driver, but also fend off the charger Stuart Winers for Track Scotland. Your top 20 was completed by Lewis Delmont, Nick Clemens and Sam Smith, and looking further down the finishing order, well, 21st for Jamie Dory there, and a great back and forth battle between himself and William Guthrie, and we did see the JWM Motorsport pair of Michael Eason and Reese White enjoy some battling, albeit that was really the battling they were focused on, with Benjamin Gregory 25th, and then we come to your AM winner, Matthew Jordan, who made his way from 34th, or last of the AMs on the grid, all the way through to the front of the field for NXTGEN Pink. What a drive from him, and well done to him on taking his first victory in the AM class, ahead of Marcel Fritsch, a runner-up in the AM class for Rhino Esports, making that pass on Jonathan Collins on the final lap, with the WSS Racing driver completing the AM top 3. A deserved AM podium for all 3 of them, well done to them, ahead of Alexander Paulik, the pro driver for World of Racing STR Motorsports, and it was 4th place AM finisher Sam Bradley for NXTGEN Green, who completed your top 30. And outside the top 30, not to be forgotten about, Craig Tillotson, Cal Murray, Duncan Race and Mark Sykes. 34 starters, 34 finishers, all in the lead lap, ladies and gentlemen. And we've still got plenty more races to come here in what is round number 3 of the championship, because that was only race number 1, and we'll be back in approximately what will be 15 minutes time for race number 2. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. You want to miss the upcoming action as we change up the success ballast, and all drivers will start where they finished in race 1. But will we see our winners of race 1 make it 2 from 2? Well, tune in soon to find out.
Speaking of Mikey Doble Racing, if you'd like to support Mikey as he pushes it to the limit out on track, you can do so by following the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page as seen on screen. Additionally, if you want to represent the 88 Army at a BTCC weekend, Mikey Doble Racing has some fantastic merchandise available just for you, as may be found either via the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page or alternatively in the Doble Motorcycles store at dobledirect.co.uk. Don't miss out on being a part of the 88 Army today.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, for race number 2 of round 3 of season 9 of the NXTCC, powered by Doble Motorcycles and brought to you on iRacing, with our focus being on the orange lobby. Remembering, of course, that we do have the blue lobby broadcast happening as of this time tomorrow evening. The racing itself for the blue lobby is currently ongoing, but to avoid clashing the two broadcasts in terms of their schedule and to give you the ability to watch both of them one evening after the other, we do have the blue lobby split being broadcasted as of tomorrow. It will be a live broadcast, except it's been delayed by a date, and all available, of course, on the Next Gen Racing media channels, including this YouTube channel and youtube.com. Search for Next Gen Racing. But as we come back to the racing then, well, we've still got a few minutes before we do go green flag racing for the second time today. And as we do, we'll have some surprises in store, no doubt about it, and some welcome ones and some not so welcome ones out there as well. And certainly a difficult one for Sam Bradley, who had to stomach what was an absolutely terse and difficult race number 1 of the day, as the liveries are just being reloaded on the driver's cars. At the moment, we're having a bit of a glitch in the background with regards to getting liveries loaded. But the point being that for Sam Bradley, he did tell me whilst we're down in the pit lane in the build-up for race number 2 that he had a few technical issues going into race number 1, and in particular those technical issues being firstly that he had his pit limiter on when he did set off on the grid, so therefore he didn't get off to a start. You could say his progress was limited. I'll go get my coat on that one, but also the fact he's having some slight internet connectivity issues, and therefore that all combined together meant that his race number 1 really stalled before it could set off. However, he has promised me that if all goes well in race number 2, we can expect him to charge his way through from what will be the bottom end of the airfield and potentially try to charge his way onto the podium. We look forward to seeing if he's going to be able to do that in this second race of the day. As he makes one around there, we do look to Stuart Wyness meanwhile, as the driver's liveries are continuing to be loaded in the background. And as we do see, was the Track Scotland driver making his way on out there. Well, for Wyness right now, a solid race number 1, but we're hoping for more in race number 2. But speaking of our drivers then, can we get a potential word with 1 or 2 of them? That'd be the hope here if we can. I think we might be able to, depending on who's available. I was hoping we'd potentially get a word with Matthew Jordan, given his phenomenal run to victory in race number 1, but unfortunately we can't at the moment. He doesn't seem to be available. So instead, what we are going to do is get a word with our prime winner from race number 1, and that was Ben Altrier, as we do get the patch through to his car. Started to come through is that patch through, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, give us a brief moment and we will get to speak to him. Well, as we do get the patch through to Ben's car. Ben, have you got a chance to talk to us?
Yeah, I'm sure I can. I'm just coming into the pit lane now.
Well, Ben, a brilliant race number 1, no doubt about it. Victory in the Pro-Am class there after a fantastic qualified time. I mean, you must be absolutely pleased with how you've started off your day at Snetterton.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm quite surprised with that. I felt like I was struggling compared to the rest of the guys in practice. And then in quali, I just happened to find my pace. I'm not sure what I ended up doing differently, but it stuck, and I just felt comfortable all race.
Well, comfortable feeling in race 1, albeit you are going to have quite a bit of weight in the car. What can we expect from you in race number 2? Another comfortable run to victory?
With the ballast that I've been given, it'll be a little bit harder. The car feels okay. It's a little slower than before, but the grip's still there, so should be a little bit more of the same, hopefully.
Well, fingers crossed for you, Ben. We'll leave you to it. Good luck for race number 2. We'll see you at the checkered flag.
Thank you.
So they're speaking to Full Tilt Motorsports, Ben Altrier, ladies and gentlemen, and as he gets himself set for what is his second race a day, we look forward to what he's going to be able to do with regards to his performance, because a great race 1 performance, no doubt about it, and plenty more to come, as we do see Wojciech Swirydowicz make his way through and down the Bentley straight, the man who took victory over in race number 1, despite some pressure from Marcelo Reles and also Mikey Doble, albeit really it was Reles who kept the pressure on all the way to distance. I do wonder when we can grab a quick word with one of our other drivers. I don't think we're going to be able to, unfortunately. I think that'll be the only time we get for speaking to other drivers, but Ben Altrier, they're talking about the success ballast going into the car, the 32.5 kilograms of it, if my memory serves me correctly, and that is definitely going to be a lot of weight for him to shift around after a comfortable race number 1. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, as race number 2 is just around the corner, we'll give us your predictions in your respective chats. We are there in YouTube, All30 Twitch, All30 Facebook, and we will be good to go once again for race number 2. And indeed, what will be, I believe, unless my mathematics is mistaken, our 8th Racer Championship campaign here as we continue to charge deeper and deeper into season number 9 in the NXTCC. And who will be finding glory awaiting them at the end of another 10 laps of racing? It's time to find out. Well, as our drivers make the way onto the grid for the second time tonight, this is how they'll line up for race number 2 of the day. It's Wojciech Swirydowicz, who once again takes pole position for Semper Racing and again takes the 56.1 kilograms of success ballast in that Audi RS3 LMS, but can he make it 2 from 2? Joining him on the front row of the grid, now taking what will be the best part of 50 kilograms of success ballast, will be the Argentine of Marcelo Reles for W2E Pro GP team, and he'll know now that he's got a very heavy car and he's going to have to shake it around the circuit and try to hold on to that position. Mikey Doe will begin this race from 3rd place of the grid for Doble Motorcycles. He drops a place, drops a little bit of weight, but the thing is, won't be dropping is the fact that he's going to keep the pressure on his rivals. Luciano Witvoet starts 4th there for World of Race for STR Motorsports, the Dutchman there pushing forwards, and behind him he'll have the pressure of Adam Delmont for NXTGEN Green, and Conrad Kula, his teammate, who'll be looking to try and move forward there, and while Kula will try and work for with Witvoet, but Adam Delmont will try to upset the apple cart for the pair of them. On round number 4, it'll be Tom Davidson for the Sim Racing Collective Esports, who really was a revelation cutting his way through the field in race number 1. Can he cut his way through further and make it a top 5 finish in race 2? We'd love to see that. I think many would love to see that, but will he be able to do it is the question, because he's got Ben Altria alongside him, the Prime driver who'd just like to make it 2 from 2, but he'll now have a heavy car and he's got to shuffle it around that Hyundai Elantra for Full Tilt V Motorsport with boosted motorsport. Andrew Pike starts 9th for the Sim Racing Collective Esports, both at the Sim Racing Collective drivers inside the top 10 left-hand side of the grid, and we expect plenty more from them in this race. Head of Isaac Doble for Doble Sim Racing, who'll begin this one in 10th. We then have on row number 6, starting 11th, best of the rest, Gavin Garner. No weight in the car. How much far can he go forward in the field for NXTGEN Pink? He'll be in the company of 2nd place Prime starter of Alan McCain for Iris Esports. And then we'll have on row number 7, Lee Horn for NXTGEN Pink, and WSS Races Matthew Addy, who wants to go forwards this time, not backwards, and move further up the Prime podium. On the 777, it's the 92 of Goldwyn Motorsports' Sam Van Olst, who is joined by Russell Fowler on the 8th row of the grid for Verano Esports. And from the Verano Esports driver, it will then be Stuart Winers for Track Scotland, head of NXTGEN Green's Lewis Delmont on row number 9. Row 10 will go to the parent of Nick Clemens for iRacing Esports and his teammate Sam Smith. Both of the drivers there enjoying a bit of a challenging race in race number 1, particularly with regards to track limits in the 100 section of the circuit. Can they have a bit of a happier day in this second race? If not, Jamie Dory will be there to pounce. He'll be starting 21st for NXTGEN Pink in the company of William Guthrie for Full Tilt V Motorsport with boosted motorsport. And then Michael Lease lines up 23rd for JWM alongside his teammate Reese Watt, with row number 13 going to Ben Gregory for the Full Tilt V Motorsport with boosted motorsport conglomerate. And then we will have our AM leader there, your winner from race number 1 in the AM class, and looking to try and make it 2 from 2, Matthew Jordan for NXTGEN Pink. But this time, he's going to have all the weight in the car, 25 kilograms, and he's going to have to get used to it very quickly. Because if not, the AM drivers behind him are Marcel Fritsch, who starts 27th for Verano Esports, and his rival, Jonathan Collins of WSS Racing, will both be very eager to take that victory off of him. If not, try and take overall place off him will be Alexander Paulik for World of Racing for STR Motorsports, and Sam Bradley for NXTGEN Green. Keep your eyes out for him there, as he's going to try and come through to take AM victory. That's what he was telling me. Then we will have on what is row number 16, Craig Tillison for Verano Esports, and Cal Murray for NXTGEN Green, with row 17 going to Duncan Rise for Goldwyn Motorsports and Mark Sykes for WSS Racing. And those will be your 34 starters, ladies and gents, with a 34 car grid, an absolute packed grid once again. They're all absolutely ready to go here for our second race of the day at the Snetterton 300 circuit in the county of Norfolk in east of England. But who will be the victor come the end of it? We'll argue on paper, Wojciech Swirydowicz. If race number 1 is to be believed as the marker, he'll do it again in race number 2. But alternatively, with what is alongside of Marcelo Reyes, will it be forward thinking or will it be backward thinking for Marcelo Reyes? Will he be able to fight forwards or will he have to defend backwards from Mikey Doble, who's starting 3rd? Well, he'll know in the Hyundai of Gloucester he's got it all to do from now on the grid. But the lights are going on, ladies and gentlemen, for the second time today, and it is going to once again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. and it's lights out away we go. It's a quick start there, and it's a quick launch from Wojciech Swirydowicz, who absolutely nails it off the line. Marcelo Reyes tucks in behind me. You see Mikey Doble getting the better launch from the second row of the grid, or he's not going to be able to attack into the opening corner as they roll the way through the opening apex here, side by side between Tom Davidson and Conrad Kula. Rest of the field pulls its way through. Matthew Jordan holding off the charge of Marcel Fritsch. They head down towards turn 2, and as they do with the blimp camera now, we'll see all the field make its way through the apex, the blimp being right over our drivers as they make the way around. We have, oh my goodness, there's been a big coming together there on what is the out of turn 2, the outside of the corner, and well, with that, I think we're going to potentially be seeing, well, if we don't see a safety car, we definitely will be seeing a big shuffling of the order already, but the order that's made its way up towards Agostini, well, they're carried on here, and they've all made the way safely through, and Swirydowicz is leading after 3 corners, but the field right now absolutely as close as possible together. And Ben Ultrier dropping 1 place overall to Isaac Doble. He's down to 9th place. Ultrier got Gavin Gardner right behind him, who's gained 1 overall, and Alan McCain is immediately getting closer. As that's a bit of an elbow out there. I believe that was the car William Guthrie being sent out wide coming out of Agostini. And right now, well, Matthew Jordan all over the back of him as they head in towards turn number 6. But into the right hand they going through Oggies, and as they do, it's going to run deep there from Russell Fowler. That's going to enable Guthrie to go right up his inside. Jordan's going to be right there with him. Matthew Jordan, in fact, has made a lot of progress here. Jonathan Collins a bit further back, and Collins has not been too far away in terms of making some progress. So we have had multiple cars towed to the pit lane. Cal Murray, Sam Van Ols and Lewis Delmont all having to tow to the pit. So it's been an absolute heartbreaking open lap incident for several drivers. I think Nick Clemens involved in that one, and Andrew Pike as well. And also Russell Fowler may have been caught up with it, as Matthew Addy was. But right now Collins and Paulick battling there, but Collins goes around the outside of Paulick and takes another place. And Alexander Paulick, after a good start, is starting to fall backwards. But look at this as they scramble out of what is Nelson and into the bomb hole. And that is Russell Fowler right now trying to make himself as wide as possible to fend off the charge of Benjo Gregory, but he's sent off into the barrier. Oh, goodness me, that's a huge shot to the barrier, and I believe there was contact there with the car of Gregory, and I think Winus as well was involved in that one. But unfortunately for Russell Fowler, that is going to be an ejection stage left into the barriers, and he won't be coming back from that one anytime soon. I think that's a car that's going to be in the pit lane for the remainder of the race. But as the field makes its way onwards, well, after 1 lap, it's Wojciech Swirydowicz who leads, going on to lap number 2. Marcelo Reyes is in 2nd. Mikey Doble was 3rd, ahead of Luciano Witvoet in 4th. Adam Delmont is 5th. The top 5 much closer this time, and albeit they've yet to fight, and if they do fight, could we see the top 5 split open again? And what Adam Delmont are we hoping? Not, because he'll want Tom Davidson to fall backwards, not go forwards, and Isaac Doble in 7th is just behind him. Conrad Kula's in 8th, Gavin Gardner's 9th, and Ben Ultrier down to 10th now. Still your prime leader, but he's got Lee Horn, a close company only a 2nd behind, and then Alan McCain the 3rd and 7 times. And now Alan McCain definitely trying to put the pressure on chasing down Ultrier and trying to prevent Ultrier making it at least 2 from 2 today. As they head in towards Agostini for the 2nd time. Well, from them we look back to Reece Watt, who's definitely made a brilliant run in start of this race, already up into 5th place in the Prime class for JWM Motorsport. Looking around the outside here, well, that's a lot of momentum, but the problem is, for as much momentum as he can try and carry around the outside, well, Ben Gregory can just simply park the car on the apex there and make Watt run out of road eventually. But going through Hamilton Court, he's trying to keep the pressure on there. Is Watt, and to fall back initially through Hamilton and now into Oggies, but Lunda braking there. Look at how daft the draft of the car will feel, and also just how strong under braking he is as he comes into Williams Bend. And Gregory then runs a little bit wide of the apex, but does get the car settled down. There is a run by the track limits there, albeit he may get a warning for it. But I think the 32 of Watt right now will be watching that and thinking, okay, I'm putting on some pressure going out to Williams, and he may keep doing that to the point of maybe I'll pick up the place as a result of post-race time penalty. Although I think you prefer to do it on circuit, but you take what you can get sometimes. And Watt right now definitely taking those places early on and settling into this race, with Winus only a further half a second up the road from the pair of them. We're going into the bomb hole, as from them, Jonathan Collins under a bit of pressure in the battle for 19th place overall, fighting with our pro driver Alexander Paulick, who's looking from one side to the other. And Sam Bradley also there, already up into 3rd place. The M-Cast is Bradley as they come through Coram Corner, and Paulick close, very close here, coming through the long right-hander, looking to the inside of the left of what is Brundle, or not Brundle, I should say Murray's corner, but can't quite find it in the end, and switching to the outside now, where it's going to be a drag race between the Veloster and the Audi RS3, and in that drag race, well, one car's going to win. It will be the Audi of Alexander Paulick, with Sam Bradley right on the back of the pair as they head in towards Richard's corner. Through the right-hander into turn number 3 they go, and as they do, all the way through on lap number 3, these 3 drivers are all together. Collins getting very firm there with Paulick, and here comes Bradley looking one way then the other. He's going to try and make it 3 wide there, but can't quite do it and has to back off under braking. But from them, it's side by side just up the road between Winus and Jordan here. Matthew Jordan isn't done yet. He's trying to pick up more places as he looks up the inside of Stuart Winus there, coming up through Palmer corner, and as he comes out of turn number 3 and down towards Agostini, it's not over yet as the elbows get get out between the two of them, albeit it's a poor run out the corner for Jordan. That's going to let Benjamin Gregory make it 3 wide under braking here as Agostini. Wines covers it off completely, but goes very deep as a result, and that is going to enable Gregory to go for the cutback here. Oh, and they all get scooped sideways. Jordan survives it all, but that is Reece Watt and Benjamin Gregory going on around, as Stuart Wines in the end is able to survive it, but it's a nasty instant, and that is going to cost both of them a lot of time, as Nick Clemens right now, with a very squished front end on his Honda Civic Type R, ends up getting the elbows out versus Michael Lees. Well, race number 1 was relatively tame compared to this, albeit there was some brilliant battling, but I think right now they've been told to up the ante, and they're absolutely all going in for a hammer and tongs here. Not remembering we've got another race after this one, but as they come on around, well, meanwhile, also, this is going on. Wojciech Swirydowicz has already run off into the distance, 3.5 seconds clear in the lead, because Luciano Witvoet has moved into second. He's been battling with Marcelo Reles, and Adam Delmont does the same. They're coming out. Nelson takes the place, but into Coram corner they go, and Reles now looking to the inside, but can't quite find it in time. Isaac Doble's also there. Mikey Doble's fallen back a bit further, so it's all been chop and change at the front of the field as they come down into the left hand of Murray's, and coming out of that corner right now with nothing between our drivers here as they head up towards turn number 1. Albeit as they charge away down the start-finish straight, there's no delta here between the lap times, and in fact that's going to give Isaac Doble an opportunity now to pop up the inside here into Riches. He's going to put the car nice and firm on the inside there into double right apex. Reles on the outside there, what can he do in a very heavy Honda right now? He's feeling that weight and how it'll be really taking some life out of the tyres, albeit we can see up there as Isaac Doble gets ahead, Mikey Doble tries to look for an opportunity, but Reles stops the right and shuts the door as soon as he possibly can. Looking down the outside is Tom Davidson, who tries to go for the move but can't quite find it as well. Out towards turn number 3 they go, and as they do, where it's going to be nose to tail between all of these drivers here. Lee Horn on the back of this Benel trio, right at the very back, and Jamie Dory only a second behind, and Jamie Dory has been one of the biggest gainers of them all since the start of the race. 9 places gained, up into 12th place currently, and just gradually making his way through the field. Albeit he's going to have some more work to do as they head in towards Agostini, and he'll know now that he's got a gap to bridge, 1.1 seconds, and that's not an easy gap to bridge. We'll be hoping the drivers in front of him battle even more as Gavin Garner there, side by side with Tom Davidson into Hamilton. Well, Garner's going to be on the inside initially, but he'll find himself now on the outside for Oggie's corner. And under braking they go, and Lee Horn, they're getting very close to his teammate, albeit not wanting to make contact with his teammate. I think saying to Garner, look, you're going to need to get a move on here, and Garner immediately responds by looking back up the inside of Davidson. A brilliant switchback move there between the two drivers, still fighting, and Will Garner gives Davidson the opportunity to rejoin the racing surface in order to go racing down the Bentley Straight. Well, they go all the way down, and as they do, look into the blimp view, there's the head into the braking zone. It gives you a wonderful perspective of the width of the circuit, how wide these cars are. For Underwood to Nelson, they go under braking, too wide they enter. Will they exit too wide? And the answer is yes, they will. Brilliant battling between Gardner and Davidson, but only one's going to lead it coming into bomb hole, and it's going to be Gavin Gardner with absolutely brilliant defensive driving. Gets it done there, and now Lee Horn, Jamie Dory, they're all trying to come through. Dory up the inside of Ben Ultria, who's forced down to 12th place, and well, that's going to be the last of the potential reversal positions there. And Ultria right now with Alan McCain behind him. Well, the one saving grace that Ultria does have is that he has his pro teammate William Guthrie right on the back of Alan McCain, and Guthrie right now I think will be getting the order, which is you need to make McCain's life a living hell, albeit fairly, in order to prevent your teammate from losing the race to lead. Albeit I think Ultria will try and do things under his own volition as well, but he would always be grateful for a little bit of assistance from a teammate. As meanwhile, a bit further back, well, that is almost 3 wide there coming down the start for the straight, with Jonathan Collins, your class leader in AM, trying to pull off into the distance there. 3 wide between himself, Alexander Pullett, and Sam Bradley, and in the end it's the reverse Moses manoeuvre performed by the AMs on the World of Racing Pro driver, albeit Sam Bradley takes 1, he takes 2, all the way through into leaders race, coming down into the hairpin of Wilson, and Sam Bradley now, Sonny realises what he said he was going to do into this race, and that was take the lead of the AM class, but now can he run away with it? That's the question. Well, we're only on lap 5 of 10, and right now, if Bradley can't pull away from this battle, I think he's going to be reeled right back into it. Marcel Fritsch and Matthew Jordan are right on the back of it. Matthew Jordan haven't fallen down, but we've got Nick Clemens and Michael Lease, the 2 Pram drivers, starting to get closer to it. It's an absolutely ferocious fight here for 16th place overall, and well, they're not quite fighting for the final overall points-paying position, but they're definitely enjoying themselves out there as Matthew Jordan goes deep at the hairpin of Agostini. That's going to enable Marcel Fritsch to get on through, and looking back for the rear Marcel Fritsch cars, well, there you can see the confirmation that he has made that place, but then looking forward in front of him, well, right now he's got the best part of an 0.8 of a second distance to Alexander Paul. It goes a big slide under braking there into Oggie's corner, getting a little bit too aggressive under braking, and right now that Audi RS3, well, it's got some rear damage on it. That won't be helping it rotate in the corners. It will make it a very loose car and not as loose as you'd like it, and well, you can definitely see how right now Alexander Paul finds himself right in the firm thick battle of these AM drivers, and he'll be wanting to try and break out of it as quickly as he can, because otherwise this is just going to cost him time of day. Although I don't think he's going to mind the battle, he's going to enjoy it, but he knows not get any points as a result of it. But then again, is he just here to get points, or is he here to enjoy the racing? We suspect it's the latter, and good on him if so, because he's absolutely putting on a spectacle out there in amongst our AMs. We're roaring the way through bomb hole. No change right now. Everyone settles down for a brief moment, and that gives us an opportunity to take a look back at the earlier instance. And starting with the lap 1 instant here, this is all the way back at the beginning, and this was the huge shunt between multiple drivers as they made their way down into the hairpin. Can we get a good camera angle here? And will Russell Fowler think in the end coming across the road and collecting Nick Clemens in the process? Andrew Pike also being picked up there. We saw Michael Lease, I think, having to take a bit of an escape route. Matthew Addy having to take an escape route as well. Stuart Wine is being caught up. Mark Sykes being caught up. Mark Sykes having another instant there, unfortunate for him. So that's what happened on that lap. And well, a bit later on, we also did have what was a bit of a change for Mikey Doble, I believe, who fell down the order. And what exactly happened to Mikey Doble? This was on lap number 3, and well, it was side by side between Mikey Doble and Marcello Reles coming out of Hamilton corner into Oggies. They went and a tap on the rear there from what's Luciano Witvoet sent Mikey Doble wide, and that's what sent Mikey Doble all the way down to 6th place as he rejoined, and brother Isaac picking up the pieces. So those are the two big events that we did see in the early stages of the race that weren't on camera necessarily, and we got you the replays of those, ladies and gentlemen. Back to live racing here as we're on lap number 6 to 10, and more racing to come, and we come back at a prime time as that's Michael Lease up the inside there of Matthew Jordan, and Nick Clemens comes on through, and well, the JDM Motorsport driver and the iRace Esports driver working together there, albeit not the same team, but both working to the common goal and trying to pick their way past the AM driver who's fallen to fall from the AM class right now. But that's what the Success Palace does. It makes the car much harder to drive, and right now Jordan definitely finding, whilst he's taken his first victory of the season, well, now he's got to try and find a way to offset the weight and make sure he can make it a series of podiums, albeit he's a bit too far back at the moment with Marcel Fritsch being at 1.5 seconds up the road, but you never know what can happen over the remainder of the distance, and there's plenty of race time distance before all is said and done. That's something that is certain, if nothing else is certain, in the NXTCC. But heading down in towards Brundle into Nelson here, no change between these drivers at the moment as they all stay nose to tail. Further on back, Craig Tillotson, 5th place in the AM class, also got caught up in that early instant, albeit not too damaged, but just stepping aside from all the battling. And well, he's in 26th place, but trying to catch up to the back of Benjamin Gregory, who is breaking away little by little, but these two will try and catch up to that long conglomerate of cars that is running from 16th through to 22nd place, albeit they've got quite a bit of sizable time between them and the cars in front of them. But from these drivers, we do look to Adam Delmont, who's running in 3rd at the moment. He's got Isaac Doble closing up behind him, and Isaac Doble in a slightly lighter car compared to Adam Delmont. We would imagine that Doble may be able to make up that ground as time goes on. He'll be very eager to do so, understandably. When the break is over, turn number 3 they go, and as they come through that left-hander, right now Adam Delmont just focusing on his lines and hoping he can close up to the 2 leaders, but it's a 1-2 for Audi right now. The Audi definitely proving it in the capable hands to be the car to beat, no doubt about it, and Swirydowicz and Witvoet running away. But speaking of not running away here, well, Conrad Kula may have just got ahead of Garen Gardner coming out of Palmer corner into Agostini, but I don't think Gardner's going to let this go anytime soon as we ride on board. The Audi driver switching back to the inside here into Hamilton's. Will he go for it? Well, the door's open, but he's not fully alongside and therefore doesn't want to force the issue. It is a very short run to Hamilton from Agostini. It's a deceptively short run. A big slide there from Kula right now, absolutely on the limit. The amount of rear brake bias in that Elantra, you can understand why it's sliding so loose under heavy braking. As they come out of Williams corner, well, now Gardner will be in the tow. Kula won't have any slipstream to work with. On the back straight they go then, and can the Audi get close enough this time? Remembering, of course, that Gardner has no success ballast in this car, whereas Kula does have the 6th place success ballast, which will be the best part of approximately 20 kilograms. Into that braking zone they go then, for the left into the right of Brundle into Nelson. Gardner there, but not quite thereabouts. As they exit out, they'll go into the bomb hole corner. The only major sun elevation change over a lap, and Gardner absolutely nailing that perfectly. Well, Kula has a brief run wide there, but he'll get away with it this time. And through the Coram corner they go, and as they do, really only one line through here unless you're too wide on entry. And Gardner having to relent in his attack and wait again as there's a big snap on the brake in there from Kula. You can see just how much he struggled in that rear. I think right now it really is the devil on his shoulder and the angel on the other. The devil being that when he goes into these heavy braking zones coming out of initial corner, one, the brake in the car cuts loose, but in straight lines, if you can control it, the angel in the car essentially says he's able to slice his way into these apexes very nicely, albeit running deep there, Riches, and this is going to give Gardner the ultimate opportunity. Does he go for it onto the inside there to turn number 2? Well, Kula covers him off. Gardner parks up behind and says, okay, I'll wait my turn, but through the right hand they go, and Gavin Gardner close enough to look for a move, but not thinking about it just yet, I think trying to tease out that opportunity. He has got his teammate Lee Horn behind him, so Horn will be acting as rear gunner. But I can imagine if Tom Davidson gets close enough to this battle, well, suddenly Lee Horn will essentially be trying to send the message through to his teammate, which is, look, we're running out of time. I'm going to need you to do something, otherwise I might need to do it for you. We're coming down into Agostini, and Kula right now, seeing his rearview mirror, the Cure cars that started to build up, and I suspect he's trying to force the next gen pink pair back into battling with not just Tom Davidson, but also their teammate Jamie Dorey, and also the prime leaders of Ben Altria and Alan McCain. Speaking of whom, here is Altria, and then there is McCain with William Guthrie still on the back of McCain, and not really able to get close enough here to be an influencing factor, but eager to do so. He'll try and find it when he can. Further on back, well, that's a run wide there from Marcel Fritsch. Was he elbowed out? I'm not quite sure, cut out of Agostini, but he's dropped down to third place. The AM class of Sam Bradley has to keep Nick Clemens behind, and is using Clemens as a bit of a buffer to second place AM driver Jonathan Collins. But it's going to be a big run deep there, coming out of Oggies for the car of Sam Bradley, and Collins then taps on the rear and says, no, keep going. We've got a battle to run here, but also you see Marcel Fritsch gets an opportunity to get a little bit closer. As a result, and an uncharacteristic error there from Sam Bradley is going to see Collins get nice on the back of him. Well, they make the way down the back straight, and Collins immediately pulling out the toe for a brief moment, and I think starting to try and play the head games here of what is Sam Bradley, in the fact he wants to make Bradley think the move's coming into Brundle into Nelson. Is the move coming is the answer? Well, no, the question I should say, and the answer is no, it's not, as we do see both Michael Lees and Nick Clemens take brief forays wide of the exit of the corner, but not so for AM drives here, keep it on the circuit and running around. Well, Sam Bradley still able to retain the AM lead for now as we head onto the penultimate lap of racing for race number 2 of the day. Wojciech Swirydowicz, your leader then by 3 seconds over this man, Luciano Witvoet. Between the term is the lap down car of Sam Van Olst, running 34th at the moment, as they come out of turn 2 hairpin, and from them, well, a bit further back is Adam Delmont, 2.5 seconds back. The 3 leaders separated equally, and then Adam Delmont does have a gradual queue of cars that's falling away from him, albeit Isaac Doble is not slipping away, and if anything, Isaac Doble is staying right there with him as they roar and romp their way around this second time today. But up towards turn number 4, and well, from them, Marcelo Reles in 6th. Well, he's now got Mikey Doble here looking for an opportunity. Reles goes defensive to the inside of Agostini. Doble looking around the outside here. What can he do as they make the way through the long left-hander? Well, it's going to be a bold move here. Doble trying to do everything he can. He's got the better rotation in that Veloster. He's feeling confident. He's going to try and go around the outside here in towards Hamilton. You don't normally go too wide, but Doble says, yes, I can. And Reles now on the outside there into Oggie's corner. Well, Mikey Doble gets it done. They're breaking a lovely move from the number 1 driver, where it may not be a fight for a podium, but definitely it's going to be a well-earned 5th place if he's able to make that move stick come the end of the Bentley straight here and just run away, because it was absolutely brilliant driving. Marcelo Reles gave him the room to race, to be fair. Respect was given, and Mikey Doble absolutely maximising the tyre life he's got in that Veloster versus the Honda, and Reles seems to be struggling a little bit with the weight of the car. Conrad Kula in 7th place, where he's got the next gen pink pack of Gardner and Horn right behind him, with Tom Davidson now only half a second off of this group. So Kula absolutely feeling the pressure as he comes out of the right-hander of Nelson and in towards turn number 11 they go once again, but the World of Racing STR Motorsports driver in the number 45. As much as he is under that pressure, he's not showing any signs of wilting to it, and if anything, he is keeping his head down and carrying on here, and doing so very well as they head into the braking zone for turn number 13. But as the white flag waves, I look out my commentary booth window, it waves for Wojciech Swirydowicz as the final lap gets underway, and a brilliant exit there out of the final corner, and the penultimate lap will give Conrad Kula all the space he needs in order to pull away down the start finish straight in the Hyundai Elantra to stay ahead of Gavin Gardner into turn number 1, so long as he nails his braking zone. But through that opening corner they go then, and Gardner, Horn and Davidson still together as they come out of turn 1 down towards 2 in towards the braking zone. They'll go for the 10th time, and Davidson close, but not close enough to really think about being inventive with a move here. They'll be able to play the patience game. As you can see, the Constantino effect calls them to all come together and then suddenly open back up and roaring the way in towards Palmer Corner. No change for Davidson at the moment, but a 10th place finish is nothing to be upset about. He will take a little bit of success burst into the final race of the day, but it will only be in the region of 8 kilograms, and therefore the car will feel relatively light, and with that lightness I think he'll feel as though he can make some great ground depending on where the grids reverse from. Of course, the higher up you finish inside the top 12, the greater likelihood you'll be in that reverse grid. If you finish 6th, you're guaranteed to be in it because the number is between 6 and 12, but for Davidson he has got a reasonable chance depending on what number's drawn. Well, number 10 has only made one feature this season, the season opener. Could it make a second one at come? What is the end of this race? We'll have to see. But as the drivers roar the way up through the 100 out and out of it, well, right now for Davidson, he's not close enough to really try and think of a move, and therefore he's going to have to play the patience game. But from them, Matthew Jordan continues to frustrate Reese Watt here in the battle for 22nd. It'll be 2 drivers of 2 different classes, but the AM driver trying to keep the JWM Motorsport Pro-Am driver behind him as they head into Hamilton Corner, and Jordan using this as an opportunity to get as much experience as possible, as what gives him the little bit bit of the touring car shove on the rear end there, but he gets it stopped in time as Watt trying to go around the outside. But as they come on around, no change at the moment between these two. Watt really trying to go around the outside, but not quite working for him. But from the outside of that battle to the inside line on the final quarter, well, Wojciech Swirydowicz right now had an absolutely brilliant run to victory in race number 1, and he's going to make it back-to-back victories here in race number 2 at Snetterton. Well, a dominant run, 3 seconds clear for Wojciech Swirydowicz. Second place will go to Luciano Witvoet ahead of Adam Delmont, who rounds off the podium. It will then be Isaac Doble in 4th ahead of Mikey Doble, who takes 5th place. Marcelo Reles will finish in 6th place in the end ahead of Conrad Kula, and it will be Gavin Garner, Lee Horn, Tom Davidson and Jamie Dorey who round off your top 11, with best of the rest being followed by your prime winner of Ben Altrier, who held off Alan McCain to the line. McCain being your second place finisher in the prime class. William Guthrie was 14th, and Stuart Wine is completing the prime podium there in 15th. Meanwhile, in the AM class, it's going to be a drag race to the line here. Can Sam Bradley hold on? And the answer is yes, he can, as he just about holds on to take his first AM win of the season to Sam Bradley. A brilliant drive from him ahead of Jonathan Collins, and Marcel Fritsch just missing out by what was a sliver to 3rd place on the AM podium. And in the end, between the three of them, it was only 23 hundredths between them. That's the closest top 3 AM finish we have ever seen in the NXTCC. Not that we're complaining, we'd love to see it. Matthew Jordan comes home in 4th place in the AM class after a bit of an altercation, I believe, on the final lap. Craig Tillison will take 5th in AM, 27th overall. And then we have got a bit of time before Mark Seitz comes to the line as he powers his way along here, and the AM driver taking up what is 28th place on the road, 6th place overall. Well, in fact, 28th place on the road, 6th place in AM, I should say. And the driver right now, I think, really frustrated at race 1 and race 2. Not that much kinder to him after the lap 1 incident. Sam Smith was 29th ahead of Matthew Addy, and then we did see, just coming to the close of this race now, Russell Fowler, who will be taking 31st there for Verano Esports, and a struggle of a race there, 11th place in Pro-Am, and we will have Lewis Delmont coming to the line there in a difficult day for him so far. Races 1 and 2 have not been kind to the younger member of the Delmont family for NXTGEN Racing Green. He's 32nd, 12th in the Prime class. Cal Marriott will be taken on home at 7th place and the last of the AM finishers. But gratefully, once again, we will be seeing all of our drivers who started the race finish the race. Cal Marriott into the pit lanes. That will demote him to a 34th place finish as he comes on in. And Sam Van Olst in the end finishing a lap down, but 34th. He will be getting to that checkered flag. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a race. And Wojciech Swirydowicz making it 2 from 2, and a deserved run to victory once again, in the fact that he held off the pressure at the start despite the very sudden change of light, and in doing so it left Luciano Witvoet, Adam Delmont, Marcelo Reles, Isaac Doble, Mikey Doble all to squabble over the second place spot. We went to Witvoet in the end with Adam Delmont in 3rd, and Delmont back on the podium there, but knowing the victory he wants is still some way away. Ben Altrier taking that victory, making it 2 from 2 in the prime class. He sneaks his way behind the pit lane garages. He'll be happy with that. Alan McCain making it 2 from 2 in terms of second places in the prime class. And Stuart Wine is returning to the prime podium. With there, we can see your AM winner as he sped into the pit lane. He's going to have to be careful about that. But Sam Bradley taking the AM victory ahead of Jonathan Collins, with Marcel Fritsch completing that AM podium. Well, let's take a look to the scenic view, and let's take a look to the race results. Subject to any stewards' inquiries, and here they were, ladies and gentlemen, after another 10 laps of racing for race number 2 at round 3 of the Orange Lobby's NXTGEN Rated Touring Car Championship Season 9, as powered by Doble Motorcycles and brought to you on iRacing. Wojciech Swirydowicz taking victory for Semper Racing there in the Audi RS3, overall in Pro by 3 seconds over World of Racing with STR Motorsports' Luciano Witvoet. Adam Delmont rounded off the podium there for NXTGEN Green, fighting his way through to 3rd, just ahead of the Doble Sim Racing pair of Isaac and Mikey Doble, and then it was Marcelo Reles in 6th for W2 E-Pro at GP, ahead of Conrad Kula for World of Racing with STR Motorsports there. Another top 10 finish for Kula. He'll be happy with that. Gavin Garner was 8th for NXTGEN Pink, ahead of his teammate Lee Horn, and Tom Davidson completing the top 10 there for the Sim Racing Collective Esports. Jamie Dorey finished 11th for NXTGEN Pink, and behind him was your Pro-Am winner, Ben Altrier, who took the last of the potential reverse grid eligible positions for Full Tilt Motorsport with Boosted Motorsport. Well done for him, making it 2 Pro-Am wins out of 2, but Alan McCain was hot on his heels towards the end, only 8 tenths between them, and the iRacing Esports driver there in the Honda Civic Type R taking another 2nd place in Pro-Am. William Guthrie was 14th for Full Tilt Motorsport Boosted Motorsport, separated himself, and Ben Altrier with Alan McCain and Stuart Wines there being 15th to complete the overall top 15, taking the final overall championship point, and also 3rd place on the Pro-Am podium there for Track Scotland. It was a solid second race of the day. 16th went to Alexander Paulik after his brilliant battling with the Anfield, and also Michael Lees and Nick Clemens. And then we did see the top 20 completed by your AM winner of Sam Bradley for NXTGEN at Green, and only what was in the end half a tenth behind him was Jonathan Collins. In fact, a lot slender than that. It was only 600ths. And then from them, we'll come into what was in third place in the AM class, but more importantly for him, also 21st overall, Marcel Fritsch of Rhino Esports, and ran off the podium, the closest end to an AM race we've seen so far this season, and indeed in the end, in the entire history of the NXTCC, I do believe. 22nd went to Benjamin Gregory, ahead of Reese Watt, with Duncan Rice and Andrew Pike completing your top 25, with Pike having to come back from the opening lap incident. In 26th was Matthew Jordan, ahead of Craig Tillerson. There was Mark Sykes, Sam Smith, and Matthew Addy completing the top 30. And outside the top 30, let's not forget about them, Russell Fowler, Lewis Delmont, and a lap down to both Cal Murray and Sam Vanal. So 34 starters, 34 finishers, 32 of which, ladies and gentlemen, on the lead lap. Well, that concludes race number 2 of the day, but thankfully we've got one more race to go. And indeed, the race at Snetterton has been absolutely brilliant so far, ladies and gentlemen. Well, as we do get set for our final race of the day, well, there's, of course, one big question that we do need to answer, and that is going to be who will be taking our reverse grid pole position. Well, as we transition to what is the commentary booth here, and good evening to you all, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing well. We're all set and ready to go for one more time this evening, no doubt about it. And let's bring you out the NXTGEN Racing Lottery Bowl, because I hope you're enjoying the racing so far, and this Lottery Bowl always serves to spice up the racing time and time again. Well, so far we have seen over the course of our first 2 rounds, in round number 1, it was none other than a top 10 reverse grid, and round number 2, it was a top 8 reverse grid. But let's close our eyes, shuffle the balls, and draw one out and see who will be taking pole for our final race of the day. Let's do the draw. So there's the shuffle, and without further ado, we draw the ball. And our ball that dictates who will be on pole position for our final race of the day. Well, we've had the number 10, we've had the number 8, so why don't we have the number 9 as well? And it is going to be none other than Lee Horn, who has given himself reverse grid pole position, and he'll be joined on the front row by his NXTGEN Racing Pink teammate of Gavin Carlos. So it's a NXTGEN Racing Pink 1-2 onto that grid, but they will have the company of Conrad Cool and Marcelo Riles behind. So it's going to be a moderately sized reverse grid, and a fantastic one to see how it all unfolds, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be all pros inside the top 10, but who will take victory in race number 3? We'll be back in approximately 15 minutes time to find out that and plenty more. Don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss it.
Speaking of Mikey Doble Racing, if you'd like to support Mikey as he pushes it to the limit out on track, you can do so by following the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page as seen on screen. Additionally, if you want to represent the 88 Army at a BTCC weekend, Mikey Doble Racing has some fantastic merchandise available just for you, as may be found either via the Mikey Doble Racing Facebook page or alternatively in the Doble Motorcycles store at dobledirect.co.uk. Don't miss out on being a part of the 88 Army today.
And we are back one final time, ladies and gentlemen, for our third and final race of the day here at the Snetterton 300 circuit. And we'll have only a couple of minutes to go before we do go racing one more time. And let's get straight back into it here and indeed get ourselves ready to go racing to the sound of 4-cylinder 2-litre engines at the wonderful 2.98 mile circuit in the county of Norfolk. Once we do get ready to go racing, we do say hello there to Phil McDougall and also to Lee Horn in the YouTube chat there. And Lee, very happy to receive what is that reverse grid pole position for the top 9 inversion as drawn from the Lottery Bowl. And Phil McDougall in the blue lobby, checking in from there and hopefully enjoying the racing. But 3 minutes on the clock, well, let's get a quick interview from what is one of our drivers out there. It's always good to hear from one of our drivers. And who can we hear from this time? Well, I think, you know what, let's see if we can hear from this man, Tom Davidson, as he makes his way on around. I'll see if we can get a word with him from the car if we can. And no, we can't, unfortunately. It doesn't look as though the Patriot is available to him, so instead we're going to try one of our other drivers out there. And well, ladies and gentlemen, I think we might be able to get a quick word with the man who did take victory in race number 2 of the day, Sam Bradley. And let's get a word in with him whilst we've got an opportunity. Once we get a Patriot to the car, Sam Bradley. Sam, or Mr. SpongeBob Man, as he's also known, congratulations on the win in race number 2. How are you feeling now you've had one win after a difficult race 1?
I told you I'd do it. Now that I've got the way, I'm not too confident, like, but that should have been the first race if the screens didn't freeze. I ended up getting parked for about 80 seconds and then I had to try and make, 2 or 3 positions I made. But I knew I was quick. Just see how quick I am with a full tank of fuel.
Well, definitely you are quick, but like you say, now with the full tank of fuel in the car, have you set yourself a target, or is it just see if you can hold on?
I'm just going to park the bus, I think. See how long I can keep everybody behind me.
Well, absolutely fair to you, Sam. We'll leave you to it, and we'll see you at the checker flag at the end of race 3.
Cheers, mate.
So here and there from Sam Bradley, ladies and gentlemen. He plans to park the bus now. He's got all the fuel in the car because that's how the success ballast is done. And it's going to make it very challenging. And can we get a word from one of our other drivers very quickly? I think we might be able to get a quick word from this man, Alan McCain. Let's see if we can get a word from the car of the man as we do get a Patriot to Alan McCain's car. Alan, you got time for a quick word?
Yeah, certainly.
Alan, 2 races back-to-back where you finished second in the Pro-Am class. Are we expecting another one in race 3?
I'm hoping to try and do one better.
Oh,
with all my might. So close in the second one. So close in the second one. Just want to improve from the last one.
Well, did you come very close? What do you think Ben's had over you in the first 2 races that you're going to stop him from having this time?
First race, he was just too far in front from the grid start. Second race, I caught him and just run out of time.
Well, you have plenty of time in race number 3. We'll leave it there, Alan. Good luck for the race, and we'll see you at the checkered flag.
Thank you very much.
So here and there from Alan McCain. Now, we do apologise for slightly talking over him there. I think there was just a slight delay between our transmission, between his car and our commentary booth. But we're able to hear there and talking about the fact in race number 1, he was too far away to make an impact. In race number 2, he came too close, too late. But in race number 3, he's going to have plenty of opportunities, ladies and gentlemen, as many of our drivers are. It's time to head to the grid then for our final race of round number 3 of the championship here at Snetterton 300 circuit. So here we go then, ladies and gentlemen, and this is how we'll line up for the reverse grid race. It's a top 9 inversion, and with it, Lee Horn takes pole position for NXTGEN Pink. He's joined on the front row by Gavin Gardner, his teammate. On row number 2, it'll be Conrad Cooler for World of Racing at STR Motorsports, who's proven very strong today, and he'll be looking to try and make sure he finishes on the podium, if not go to the win. Marcelo Reales for W2E Pro at GP. He's had some weight shed out the car as the Argentine. Could he potentially spring some surprises and make his way back into the podium in the 738? We'll have to see, because if not, Mikey Doble in the number 1 will be very eager to pounce at Doble Sim Racing, as well as his younger brother Isaac Doble there, who really has put together a brilliant string of results. Indeed, both of them have. From their 3rd row, we head to the 4th row. That is Adam Delmont for NXTGEN Green and Luciano Witvoet for World of Racing for STR Motorsports. And the Dutchman there just ahead of Wojciech Swirydowicz. Back-to-back winner in races 1 and 2. He's got all the fuel in the car as well for the success ballast. Can he make it 3 wins on the bounce? If so, that's going to take a lot of testament to his skill. But Swirydowicz can make the impossible happen. We've seen it before. Tom Davidson missed out on the reverse grid, but we start in 10th then for the Sim Racing Collective Esports. So a little bit of extra weight in the car, but he won't mind that as he tries to move forward. But behind him, looking to move forward, will be Jamie Dory, who starts best of the rest for Next Gen Pink, and his rival there on row number 6 will be your 2-time Prime winner from today, looking to make it free, Ben Altrier for Full Tilt Motorsport with Boosted Motorsport. There's just one problem, and we heard from the man who's going to be his problem, Alan McCain, who starts 13th right next to Ben Altrier, and the iRacing Esports driver will know from that 7th row of the grid he's got a golden opportunity to go one further and make it a win in the final race of the day. If not, he may have the company of Full Tilt Motorsports, Boosted Motorsports, William Guthrie, who would love to help Altrier out as well as move forward himself to gain some more overall points. 15th will be Stuart Winers for Track Scotland, ahead of Alexander Paulik for World of Racing with STR Motorsports, and he's definitely had a challenging day today, packed with battling with AMs and Pro-Ams, but can he get into the Pro fight? That'll be the question for the German driver. On round number 9, it'll be Michael Lees for JWM Motorsport, ahead of Nick Clemens for Iris Esports, and further down there, order completing at the top 20, will be the 2 pole and second drivers, and that'll be Sam Bradley, your pole sitter after his win in race number 2 for Next Gen Green. Head of WSS Races, Jonathan Collins, who just missed out by 2 tenths at the line. Behind them on row number 11, it'll be third place Amdro, Marcel Fritsch for Verano Esports, who also just missed out by a further 700ths, and he'll be in the company of Benjamin Gregory for Full Tilt Motorsport with Boosted Motorsport there, and eager to make an early impression on this race. Reswap begins his day in this one on the 12th row of the grid, 23rd for JWM Motorsport, ahead of Duncan Rays. The Goldwyn Motorsport driver continues to try and move forward, but also looking to move forward just behind him is Andrew Pike, who after that huge shunt at turn 2 on the open lap of race 2, well, right now the Sim Racing Collective Esports driver's got nothing to lose other than with wind in his sails, looking to charge forward. But will it be a breeze for him, or will it be a breeze for Matthew Jordan for Next Gen Pink, who starts in 4th place in the Anfield, and we're looking to try and come through? Well, the grid is set, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to hold it there any longer and walk the way through. We've run out of time, so the lights are going on already, and as they do, it's going to be lights out, and away we go for our 3rd and final race of the day there, as it's a quick start again, and Lee Horn gets himself off to a good run as they make their way down towards turn number 1. Gavin Gardner's there with him, Conrad Cooler as well, not too far behind, but right now it's looking to be 2 by 2 as somebody almost makes their way into the pit lane exit and rejoins the race, and I think that's where the JWM Motorsport machines are heading in towards turn number 2, with the whole field fans on out and down here, and as they do, I'll Blim in a wonderful position to see them all under braking. It's going to get very close, it's going to get very tasty under braking here, but all the field coming on down there, no sign of anyone stepping out this time, as I see Sam Bradley and Jonathan Collins practically side by side down corner exit, albeit they will have the intervention of Benjamin Gregory for good measure, and further back Craig Tillerson fighting with Sam Smith as they head in towards Palmer Corner. As they come out of Palmer and towards Agostini, well, this is Conrad Cooler under some pressure here from Marcello Rellas, looking up the inside. Rellas squeezing in contact, it's going to send Cooler round. It'll cause Cooler to go sideways, but he will rejoin on the outside of the circuit, so he gets himself back under control and in good time as well, but he will lose out a lot of places there, and Rellas coming in a bit too hot, and I think misanticipating the heaviness of the car with the weight, plus cold tyres and cold brakes, and I'm sure he might get called to the stewards room after that one if it is felt as though by Cooler that he was pushed wide intentionally. We're coming out of turn 6 and 7 up towards 8. Well, Adam Delmont right now at the back of Witvoet and Doble. Doble already up a position there, back into 5th place after losing that start, but getting it back ahead of Witvoet and in at the Pro-Am class. Well, Alan McCain's done exactly what he said he would do at the start of the race and move into lead, and he's leading it right now as he makes one down the back straight. Ben Altrier has been dropped all the way to 19th place or 5th place in Pro-Am, but as the field comes on down here, we'll further back. That's Benjamin Gregory, Ben Altrier and Jonathan Collins going 3 wide, albeit they're censored by the billboard, but as they come down to the braking zone, where it'll be what is Gregory going around the outside of the pair of them, and then Collins fitting in between the 2 Pro-Am drivers and Full Tilt Motorsport, and Jonathan Collins sits there right now for WSS and looks to try and move forward in the battle for Am Victory with Sam Bradley, who's just up the road from him. As Bradley goes side by side into Coram corner with Michael Lees, well, Lees will get ahead of him there, and through the long right hander they go, the long stretch before the braking zone for Murray's corner, but now they'll all go one line in file as they roar the way out and complete lap number 1 and go on to lap 2. So after one lap of racing, it's Gavin Garner who leads. He's got ahead of Lee Horn and leading this race, trying to pull off into the distance. Horn is second, Marcello Rellas is in 3rd, Isaac Doble in 4th, but looking for the move around the outside here as they head for Richie's corner, and Isaac Doble right now absolutely digging as much as possible here. He's trying to push on early in this race before the rest of the field gets close. A few run wides there. Everyone really trying to tease out those track limits now as they come through Rich's corner, but Rellas digging in deep here, coming out to the right-hander of Wilson, and Rellas, whilst he may not have a Honda that's that fast, given how heavy it is with weight and the fact that Isaac Doble has picked up the pace, well, the one thing he can do is make that car incredibly wide. and in doing so feel confident that he's not going to be under too much pressure. As we see a flash of lights there from Doble. I think that's trying to send Morse code, which is can you get out of the way, and Realists meanwhile will not be looking at that at all. He'll be focusing on his racing lines, but Doble definitely looking one way then the other as Mikey, his brother, now gets closer, but you can see the whole field starting to come together. Looking back to the AM leaders with Sam Bradley and Jonathan Collins back together here with Benjamin Gregory clearing Bradley into turn 1. As I looked out my commentator booth windows, they made the way in there on this lap, and now it's going to be a fight for the front of the AM field, with the rest of the AM field a bit further behind, and Marcel Fritsch just ahead of Russell Fowler, with Matthew Jordan trying to pick his way through, but Fowler around the outside of Jordan there through Hamilton Corner and makes it nice and smooth as they roll their way from left into right. Nothing between them here, and we're behind Sam Smith and then the rest of the AM field, and Mark Sykes, Craig Tillerson and Cal Murray absolutely together as they head on through into Williams Bend. But right on board and looking back from the rear of the 5th place AM driver of Mark Sykes in the 499. That's Craig Tillerson behind him, and Cal Murray meanwhile has fallen a long way back. In fact, the best part of what is 6.5 seconds behind. I think there's been a bit of an error and an incident for Cal Murray on the open lap of the race, and that's what's led to the daylight between the 3 AM drivers. But Tillerson right there with Sykes right now initially, but under braking there in Murray into Nelson, and it does look as though, well, from Brundle into Nelson I should say, that for Tillerson he's had a little bit of a poor run through, and therefore that's going to give Sykes every opportunity to start to pull away off into the distance, albeit with the traffic in front they could be pushed back together. But looking from down towards the back of the field to the very front of the field, as they come across line for what is lap number 3 to begin, well, Gavin Garner still leading there by half a second over Lee Horn, and I should have realised right behind him Mikey Doble now starting to put a bit of pressure on Isaac as they come through the right-hander. Understandable with Luciano Witvoet there also in the push, and I think Witvoet will try and get the Doble Sim Racing teammates here to step on each other's toes, so that way he can gain 2 places for the price of 1 move, albeit that's the theory. In practice, however, the Doble Sim Racing team, a very slick machine and very good at working together are the brothers. They head on in. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Joseph Doble here today. We hope to see him in 2 weeks' time. We do carry on with round number 4 of the championship. We're staying in the present of round number 3. No change in amongst the leaders on the opening 3 corners of the lap. But everyone right now bustling and hustling together. As further back, Michael Lees, where he's trying to push on against Alexander Paulik, who's up into 14th place. Lees is up into 2nd in the prime class, and as he rolls on through, well, right now it's looking as though Lees definitely breaking away from Clemens as much as he possibly can, and will Ben Trier continue to fall down the running order, and I think Ben Trier's had a bit of a nightmare start to the race. What exactly happened to Ben Trier? Well, here's the replay to explain, ladies and gentlemen, and this was from the race opening lap. Was he came out of there, what I believe is turn 6 and 7, and into a tap there on the rear of the car of Ultrier from, I think that was, unless I'm mistaken, Conrad Kula. It sent Ultrier out wide, and that explains how what was a number of drives all came on through. But with that, well, we need to pause the phone for a brief moment, because we have had a bit of a change of position for Alan McCain, and Alan McCain has fallen down all the way down the order to essentially the back of the prime field. In fact, he's all the way down to 34th place. I think the car's in the pit lane and may be retiring from the race. Well, at least it's being serviced at the moment. What happened to Alan McCain, who was leading for a brief moment? And here's the replay of that. Well, this was lap number 1 for Alan McCain, who was comfortably leading, made his way into Coram Bend. Rear of the car comes slightly loose, but he just went wide out there, so no major incident for him. And then going on to lap number 2, this was Alan McCain across the line down towards Rich's corner. What happens here is he makes his way into the right-hander. Well, we do have a little bit of a latency issue there. Oh, goodness me. Now, what on earth happened to McCain's car there? It just snapped one way and then the other. Can we get on board of that from McCain? Let's just listen in. And the car just pulling to the side. That's a suspension collapse if I've ever seen one, and that is completely unexpected. And Alan McCain's race into the barrier there. Well, we've never seen that before, into turn 1, into Riches here at Snetterton in all our time in the NXTCC. And, well, that is a surprise and not a welcome one, to be sure. And Alan McCain just snapping into the barrier there in his practice, if the fates conspired against him. Something broke on the car and just sent him straight onwards, completely off-centre. And, well, for Alan McCain, a nightmare moment. But back in the present, Michael Lee's battling with Alexander Paulik, and Stuart Winers is your leader in the prime class as a result of it. You can see him just running away in the distance there in the Track Scotland machine, with the absence of his teammate Kieran Smart for today. Well, right now, Stuart Winers may be flying the Scottish flag solo, but he's not shown any signs of being what is attempted to fall back into the clutch of the rest of the pack and being intimidated by being the solo Track Scotland driver here today. And credit to him, because he's flying the banner proud. But as our drivers continue to push onwards, well, right now with Alexander Paulik getting his way past Lee's flat, puts Nick Clearance right on the hunt, and Clearance looking to go on the attack here. as they come down the back straight, down the Bentley straight, pound their way onwards, looking one way, then the other is the iRacing Esports driver, and well, knowing that with at least having the toe of the Audi in front of him, there's not going to be any way really for him to try and slipstream his way alongside. He's going to have to wait his turn. Onto the brakes they go, as Elise has a big bit of oversteer there, under braking through Brundle into Nelson, and has it also into the Nelson bend, all through the right-hander of the bomb hole they go, and as they do, Clemens too far back really to get involved here, but definitely has a temptation to want to try and get involved as soon as humanly possible. But through turn number 12 they come, and in towards 13, and well, Clemens close, but not close enough really to think about a potential move, and just having to play the waiting game as he comes off the left-hander. They're exiting the corner. It's a better run for Clemens, and with Bullock pulling away, well, now Clemens is going to be firmly in the slipstream for second place in the Pro-Am class. Can he look for that potential move? Well, here he builds, little by little, heading towards the opening braking zone for lap number 5, and can he look for the move under braking? The answer is no, he can't, but what he can do is show his fangs in this Honda, and right now are really staying nice and close as they bump their way over the apex curve there. Down into turn 2 they go, but he's too far back to look for the move, and Clemens just having to watch, wait and listen for another opportunity as he comes through the long right-hander. But from them, well, we do look back up the running order, and Wojciech Swirydowicz, oh my good lord, and what has happened to Swirydowicz's car? Well, I think Swirydowicz has been sent to the barrier of some description, and Swirydowicz with a huge jump by the looks of things, and that has sent his race all the way backwards. But what has happened to Wojciech Swirydowicz? Well, I think we might be able to find out, and here's the replay, ladies and gentlemen, because this has got huge connotations. So up the inside of Adam Delmont coming out to turn number 2, right high on the side of Delmont's car, and as they come through, Delmont turns into what is Swirydowicz, or Swirydowicz turns into Delmont, one of the two, and Swirydowicz in the end just propelled to the wall. And for Wojciech Swirydowicz, that is his race in tatters. Now, we won't be able to get a proper camera angle to really talk about who turned across whom, but those are the two interpretations you could have, and I think both drivers just squeezing each other in the end, and will Swirydowicz's race in the pit lane there. And after 2 victories back-to-back, it will not be a third. And I can imagine Adam Delmont right now won't be thinking about that anymore. He'll be thinking about just running his race. And Adam Delmont is in 8th place. And again, we're not putting the blame on Adam Delmont there, just talking about the two interpretations. I think both drivers wanting to fight over that inside space coming out of turn 2 up towards 3. Well, in the end, only one could make it through. And Adam Delmont, well, in the contact with Swirydowicz, well, Delmont survived, Swirydowicz did not. Gavin Gardner, meanwhile, as we come back to our leader, well, he's leading this race by 4 attempts over Lee Horn, but the queue is building in this long line of cars coming out of the final corner. Then onto lap number 6 they go. We look back from the rear of your race leader, and Gavin Gardner, how long has it been since he has led a race here in the NXTCC? And the answer to that question is it has been a long time, to say the least. And well, right now Gavin Gardner looking to try and make it his first win in a very long time, and if so, this would be a very emotional win for the number 11 driver, who has been on the grid since season 1 in many a different guise. But one thing about the number 11 driver is, where it's been for the Vrano team or 30 for NXTGEN Pink, he has never given in to pressure. And also a points keeper with regards to all the championship points there. Really has been one of the guys who keeps the NXTCC running week in, week out, with Lee Horn right behind them as they come out of turn number 3, and as they all snake train the way on through. Well, Lee Horn right now, I can imagine, might be trying to act as a bit of a rear guard as Marcello Reyes looks for an opportunity into Agostini. Doesn't quite find it there, but definitely building the pace. Through left hand at a turn at number 4 they go. And well, these drivers right now all push each other onwards as Mikey Doble and Isaac Doble close up onto the back of that, and Luciano Witvoet just watching on at the very back of the group as they head in towards that turn number 6. Well, through the double right they go of Oggies and up towards Williams. We'll slight connectivity issues there for Reales, but hopefully not the sign of anything that is forthcoming. That's the last thing we want to see. And further back, Sam Smith enjoying a little scrap with Andrew Pike here into Hamilton. Pike gets up the inside, but Smith tries to cut it back, but in the end finds his way to the grass. As he does rejoin, well, there's not going to be a way through for Smith here. He is going to settle in behind as they roll off the apex and up towards turn number 8. But Smith falls down to 24th place with some damage over the front of the iRacing Esports Honda. Definitely a wounded car. Well, Marcel Fritz, your 3rd place AM driver, staying right there with him as he tries to get right in the hunt as well. But no way in at the moment for the 3rd place AM driver, with Matthew Jordan 1.1 seconds behind, and Jordan gradually closing on him. And then Ben Altrick, Craig Tillison and Cal Murray completing that running order further in the rear of the picture. But from them back to leaders, and as the leaders make the way through at turn number 13 to complete what will be the 6th tour of the circuit, and only 4 more to go here as they go on to lap number 7. Well, there's the long distance view as they make their way down the start finish straight. It does feel like it's an eternity, but the Audi RS3 of Gavin Gardner powers on versus the Honda of Lee Horn, and coming in towards turn number 1. Well, they have opened up a half-second gap to Marcello Reles, who in turn does have the Doble brothers there of Isaac and Mikey right behind him. So right now, I think for Reles, he really is hoping that the drivers behind him don't fight it too hard, as Horn goes defensive there. there, but it's a big scramble on the braking. Isaac Doble goes all in. It's a lovely bit of manoeuvring there from Isaac Doble. Relis had to leave the door open to see the Veloster coming, but Isaac Doble in the end going for it. As he does so, well, side by side they come through Palmer corner. Isaac Doble trying to go around the outside, but the car comes loose on the rear. He goes to the grass there. A bit of contact between the two of them, and Mikey Doble now looking up the inside here. It's Relis now under pressure from the second member of the Doble family. Luciano Witvoet right in the back of this. Onto the brakes they go, and suddenly on lap number 7, the tempo rises between all these drivers, because I think they're starting to realise that the next gen pink pair might be starting to break away with this. But Mikey Doble battling hard with Relis, gets ahead of him. There's contact between Witvoet and Relis, turns Relis sideways, and that's going to be Witvoet up into 4th place, Isaac up into 5th, and Relis rejoins. Oh my good lord! And that is a huge shunt there, as we did see the car of Jamie Dory coming right into the scene of the incident, and Marcello Relis' race goes wrong. Stuart Winus is propelled out, and that's going to release Michael Lees into the lead of the Prime class, right with Nick Clemens right behind him. Was a big domino effect there through the 100 section of the circuit. They all pinballed their way through, and well, in what has been an absolute cacophony of cataclysmic moments, well, right now, suddenly the Prime field's completely shaken up, and we've got a lead battle for the Prime class, which is firmly on our doorstep with only 3 tenths between Michael Lees and Nick Clemens. Well, 2 of the oldest drivers in the field in terms of how long they've been on the grid in the Prime class, and right now they're fighting for Prime honours here, and we are going to see a new Prime winner today for this season between them. But which one is it going to be? Well, Lees right now, I don't think he's going to quite believe it when he comes around next time to find out that he is the Prime leader if he doesn't already know. And Nick Clemens is going to be thinking, okay, if it went wrong for Alan, I've suddenly got to try and pick up the slack that iRace Esports has left behind. But rolling the way through turn number 12 and down towards 13 under braking. Lees squirrely under braking there. The rear of that Veloster really snapping loose. And well, as they charge away down the start finish straight, we look back from the rear of your race leader in the Prime class. He's in 12th place, so some good overall points up for grabs here as well, plus for the team's championship. And then in towards turn number 1. Who's it going to be out of these two with 3 laps remaining? Well, that's going to be the big challenge between them. But goodness me, drama, a very short moment's notice, and we'll head in towards turn number 2. Hopefully we don't see drama like that again today. We want to see good drama, of course, but not drama where it all goes wrong. But that's sometimes what happens when drivers are racing on the absolute ragged edge of adhesion. Tempers will boil over, and when they do, things can go very wrong. In towards turn number 3 they go, and as they do, well, right now Michael Lees just finds himself in the toe of Alexander Paulick. We're closing up on him, but here comes Clibbins then, cutting in behind as they head up towards Agostini. Clemens 2.5 tenths back on the exit of Palmer. 2 attempts under braking there into Agostini, but not close enough to really think about sending the move. But I can imagine if he's this close on the final lap, he may go all in for it, as Lees meanwhile just trying to keep that gap as much as humanly possible. But through the left hand of Hamilton, they will calm down, and they calm down just in time for us to find out exactly what happened there in that big shunt between multiple drivers. And here's the replay, ladies and gentlemen, to explain. And we all started in lap number 7, coming out of what was it, Wilson in towards Palmer corner, and it started with this. So contact between Isaac Doble and Marcello Relis as they made the way for a left-hander. That's an Isaac Doble out on a bit of an excursion. Then subsequently, as they roared the way onwards with Marcello Relis, it ended up being a battle into Agostini hairpin, where it was too wide at the apex, and it was Mikey Doble up the inside. So relatively calm so far, but as they made the way out the corner, this is where it all really kicked off. Luciano Witvoet on the inside. Relis trying to turn in across him into the Hamilton bend. In fact, before they even got to the turning point there, our camera angle would suggest, and where it looks though there were the two fighting over the space, that sent Relis onwards, and then the rest of the field came on through. Jamie Dory being the first, that sends Relis spinning around. Great reactions there from Davidson, the 42, and also for Guthrie going the other way, and then it all imploded for what Stuart Winus there, just being collected by one of the wayward cars, and I think that might have been the wayward car of Conrad Kula in a panic, who ended up going very sideways. But as we come back to live racing, we're on to lap number 9, and this is Jamie Dory versus Conrad Kula. Dory in a wounded car, no doubt about it. Kula also a wounded car as well. 3 wide, practicing into turn number 1, but Alexander Paulick's not going to make it 3 wide. He backs out, and through the right hander they go, and Jamie Dory there holding on for now, but Kula still looking up the inside and was off camera. Mikey Doble and Lee Horner squabbling for second place. We'll stay with this battle as they head under braking, and that is going to be Kula all the way up the inside there. Lovely bit of braking there in the number 45 Elantra. In the battle of Elantras, Kula's going to come out on top under braking, but now they've got Palmer corner, a different style of corner. Jamie Dory's going to win the inside there, so Kula's going to have to hold it all the way around the outside this time. Will he be able to do so? As we see off in the distance, Lee Horn getting back ahead of Mikey Doble and Agostini, and roaring the way down towards Agostini themselves now in the fight for 9th place. Well, Kula ahead by a hair, but here comes Alexander Paulick up the inside. And Paulick they're going for the move in the number 32. A lovely bit of braking there. He's going to make that work out for him as they roar the way up towards Hamilton Bend. Nick Clemens in the lead of the prime class. We have lost Michael Lease down the running order a little bit. I believe there might be a bit of an instant for Michael Lease. We're not quite sure how that lead has changed hands. We might be able to get a replay of it very shortly, but we have had Nick Clemens get on through, and I think Michael Lease has had a bit of an error that's cost him dear, and we do have a quick replay to explain how the prime lead has changed hands, and that was on this opening portion of lap number 9, and Lease making his way through there, but crumpling under what was the apex curb, and well, for Nick Clemens looking around the outside here whilst our focus was on the pros, well, Clemens in here making his way around the outside as Lease was blocked in there by behind the number 32, and that's how they changed the places, but Benjamin Gregory a bit further back, able to make progress later on. But let's come back then to your live at racing, ladies and gentlemen, because there's plenty of it to come, and from the bottom end of the top 10 all the way to the front end of the top 10, well, this is your top 3 as they make the way then onto their final lap of racing here today at Snetterton, and Gavin Garner is leading by 8.5 tenths of a second over Lee Horn, who is continuing to keep Mikey Doe at bay, and right now Lee Horn are definitely trying to get some points on the board for himself, but also acting as rear gunner to Gavin Gardner. Well, Gavin right now trying to break away, but Horn is proven to be the ultimate team player here as they come into Richie's corner. He's sacrificing his chase to the victory to try and make it a next gen 1-2, but Mikey Doble says it's not going to be for you as they come down towards turn number 2. Up the inside goes Doble, goes very late on the brake, gives Lee Horn the elbow there, and well, that's going to be about as late as you can to call it fair, but Horn now coming back at him as he looks one way then the other. Doble puts it to the racing line. Horn meanwhile looking up the inside there, but too far back, ready to go for the move, so Doble getting his elbows out. He wants that second place as a minimum to keep himself well and truly in the hunt of the championship, but the gloves are off between Doble and Horn right now, and as they come down towards turn number 4, we'll look to the inside and then thinks again, does Horn know he be coming from too far back? Eyes at Doble defending versus Luciano Witvoet as they come through the left-hander of Agostini, and well, Doble now up into 4th place, and that's confirmed on your pictures, but will he be there for the rest of the race, given the fact they've not got long to go, they've only got half a lap remaining? Well, it's getting very, very tasty between all the drivers inside the top 5, but from them coming in towards Oggie's corner, well, we look back to your prime leader, and Nick Clemens, he's got a 1.6 second gap over Benjamin Gregory, who is going to be your runner-up in the prime class, if things carry on as they stand, so therefore all looking good in the AM class. It's Sam Bradley, who is ahead of Jonathan Collins by the best part of 4.5 seconds, so no real change afoot there, but as we come back to the Bentley straight, we'll see your leaders there as they come down. There's Gavin Garner, Mikey Doble still in second here, and I think he is going to burst the balloon of a potential 1-2 for Next Gen Pink, but they'll still look for a double podium as they come out of the corner, and Horn absolutely hounding the corners here, but I don't think it's going to work out for him in terms of running that wide out of Nelson. It's only going to cost him time. Isaac Doble still keeping Whitford just behind him for now as they head into Corian Bend. Well, they're going to be close, but I don't think unless we're going to see Whitford cut to the inside of what will be Murray's corner. Whether this is going to work out or not, he's going to try it. There's a tap to the rear. That is going to send Isaac Doble onwards, but meanwhile, looking to your leader as he heads to the line. Well, it's been a long time coming. It's been years in the making, but Gavin Garner returns to the top step of the podium in race number 3 here at Snetterton ahead of Mikey Doble, with Lee Horn doubling at the podium for Next Gen Pink. Isaac Doble take 4th there, with Whitford giving the place back at the line. Adam Delmont taking 6th ahead of William Guthrie. Then Tom Dawson, Alexander Paulik, and Nick Clemens will be your prime winner for race number 3, where 10th place finish overall ahead of Conrad Cooler. Runner-up in Pro-Am will be Benjamin Gregory in second of the class. Jamie Dory, Michael Lease will take 3rd place in Pro-Am, and it will be Stuart Winnes who rounds off the top 15. Sam Bradley will take victory, back-to-back victories in the AM class there, 20th place overall ahead of Jonathan Collins who takes 22nd, 2nd place in AM, and Marcel Fritsch in the end taking 3rd place just behind Jonathan Collins once again, much like race number 2. But what a different complexion of race, ladies and gentlemen, and Craig Tillotson taking 5th place in Pro-Am there behind Matthew Jordan, but 27th overall for him. Cal Murray was right behind, as was Mark Sykes. Will be a lap down there, unfortunately, for Mark Sykes. And then we will have your final race finishers in the form of Duncan Rise first. He'll be taking 29th in the overall running order and 11th place in Pro-Am. And it will then be from him to what will be Wojciech Swirydowicz, who'll be your last lead lap finisher, I believe, as he comes to the line. Well, there's Duncan Rise. And we look back to Wojciech Swirydowicz. He makes his way around, and after that unfortunate incident between himself and Adam Delmont coming out to turn number 2 in the early stage of the race where the two are fighting over the space, and then Swirydowicz was propelled to the wall. Well, for the number 80 driver here, he's had 2 wins out of 3. It's not going to be a perfect evening, but my goodness, he has claimed a lot of points, and he'll know that right now his championship campaign, it may have had a small speed bump in it, but it's not a championship campaign that's had the rails come off it in any way. As we do see Gavin Garner coming down into what will be Nelson here. Well, right now he must be absolutely ecstatic behind the wheel of that number 11 Audi, in the fact he has not been on the top step of the podium in a long time indeed. I think you'd have to look back the best part of what would be at least 6 seasons, if my memory serves me correctly, since that Gavin Gardner was on the top step of the podium. He's had a couple of occasional appearances on the podium, but not a victory. And well, this one, he'll feel as though was one well and truly earned. Credit where it's due, Mikey Doble fights his way past a very stoic Lee Horn for second place, and Horn acts as a brilliant rear gunner for a NXTGEN 1-2. When in, it was a NXTGEN double podium, and as Nick Clibbins makes his way out of the final corner to the pit lane, being pushed on there by one of his iRacing Esports teammates. Well, Clibbins there having a little bit of fun with the number 27 sending it around, and that being the car, I believe, the number 27, unless I'm mistaken, of Sam Smith, but Nick Clemens will be happy with that victory in the Pram class there as they push each other into the pit lane. Benjamin Gregory, your Pram runner up there, and really after a difficult race 1 and a better race number 2, or race number 3 really coming through for him when Michael Lee's completing that Pram podium, and Sam Bradley, your AM winner, taking that AM win over Jonathan Collins and Marcel Fritsch. Well, here are the race results, ladies and gentlemen, and let's take a look at them. Provisional, of course, because they're subject to any Stewards' inquiries, and after another 10 laps of racing to round off our racing here at the Snetterton at 300 circuit for round number 3 of the championship, Gavin Garner taking victory for NXTGEN Pink by a whole second almost there over Doble Sim Racing's Mikey Doble. Lee Horn missing out on what was a 1-2 for NXTGEN Pink, but still making it a double podium for the team. He took third, and there was a further 2.1 seconds to Isaac Doble, who finished fourth for Doble Sim Racing in his brilliant back and forth battle with Luciano Witvoet for World of Racing at STR Motorsports. Gentlemanly racing there for Witvoet to give the place back after their contact into the final corner of the final lap, and Adam Delmont was 6th there for NXTGEN Green ahead of his fellow Hondas, William Guthrie for Full Tilt V Motorsport with Boosted Motorsport, and the Sim Racing Collective Esports' Tom Davidson. Alexander Paulik took 9th there for World of Racing at STR Motorsports, making his way all the way through the field over the course of the race distance day, having started towards the bottom end of the top 30, went into his day finishing 9th place. He'll be proud of that. Nick Clemens took 10th place for iRacing Esports, but more importantly for him, it took Pro-Am victory and broke the running trend of Ben Altrier's handhold on the victories, albeit the iRacing Esports driver will be a little bit upset that his teammate Alan McCain ended up having a dismal day for Clemens to come through and take victory in class. Conrad Cooler was best to rest in the length for World of Racing at STR Motorsports, ahead of Benjamin Gregory, the runner-up there in the Pram class for Full Tilt Motorsport with Boosted Motorsport. There was Jamie Dorr in 13th, ahead of Michael Lees. But the NXTGEN Pink driver in the end ended up right in the thick of the squabbles with a lot of damage on his car towards the end of the race. And there was Michael Lees in 14th for JW Motorsport, ahead of Stuart Wyness, who in the end missing out on Pram victory after that instant into Oggie's corner. Well, the Track Scotland driver will be absolutely fuming at that, but he's also got to think about the fact there's plenty more rounds to come as he takes the final overall point. Behind the Scottish driver was the Englishman Lewis Delmont. Now Sam Van Olst, Andrew Pike, Matthew Addy and Sam Bradley completed your top 20, and well done to Sam Bradley for making it 2 wins out of 3 and back-to-back wins in the AM class there for NXTGEN Green, and that was ahead of 21st place finisher Sam Smith, but then perhaps more relevantly the AM second place runner-up Jonathan Collins there, 22nd for WSS Racing, and another runner podiums here today, and his championship campaign is definitely well and truly underway. Marcel Fritsch, third in the AM class there. Well, you're gutted to take third places and not seconds, if not victories, but still the Austrian driver for Renault Esports will know these are the results he needs, given the fact Mark Sykes was a lot further down the running order by comparison. And we did see Matthew Jordan for NXTGEN Pink after a victory in race number 1, having to settle for 2 top 5 finishes in races 2 and 3 with another 4th place and finished 24th. Ben Altrier's 25th ahead of Russell Fowler, with Craig Tillerson, Cal Murray, Duncan Rice and Wojciech Swirydowicz completing the top 30. And outside the top 30, let's not forget about them. Mark Sykes a lap down, Alan McCain 2 laps down, Marcelo Reles 4 laps down with that unfortunate retirement, and 9 laps down, having retired after the second lap of the race. Reese Watt there, 34th. So 34 starters, and in the end 32 finishers classified, ladies and gentlemen, of which 30 on the lead lap, and that brings a close to our racing here in round number 3 of the championship. And what an orange lobby triplet of race it has been today in the NXTCC at Season 9, ladies and gentlemen. An absolutely incredible set of races from a relatively tame race number 1 all the way through to an absolutely bombastic race number 2, and then what we come to expect on the reverse grid race in race number 3. Well, that's one story that we've told on screen, but of course we've got plenty more stories to tell, because coming up very shortly, in approximately will be 7 to 8 minutes time, we'll be conducting post-round interviews with our drivers, ladies and gentlemen, our volunteers of course. Don't go anywhere, you won't to miss them. We will see you very shortly. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time for our post-round interviews. And so far, we've had both of our next-gen pink drivers who finished on the podium in the final race of the day, volunteered their time, both in the pro class. We're going to be hearing from Gavin Garner first, the man who's returned to the top step after a multi-year hiatus from being on it, and that's how fierce the competition has been. And then we're going to be hearing from his teammate and good friend Lee Horn and hearing their two respective stories, and what a brilliant pair of rounds they've had today. But let's jump straight in then, ladies and gentlemen, and bring on in with us Gavin Garner. Good evening to you, Gavin. And goodness me, firstly, allow me to say congratulations on securing another overall win in the NXTCC. It has been a long time since we've seen you on the top step. I mean, you must feel absolutely proud to have made it up there once again.
Yeah, good evening, Paul. Yeah, it does feel, it feels pretty good. Like you say, it's been a little while since I last had a win. Yeah, starting to feel a bit like one of those F1 veterans who sticks around for a few years at the back end of the grid before they, inevitably retire. But yeah, it's very good feeling to get that P1 again.
Oh, well, I'll say it's a great feeling to see it up there. And I think everyone's pleased to see yourself. I mean, you've been on the grid since season 1, since the early days of the NXTCC. And, well, to see a veteran like yourself return to the top step, it doesn't just show how fierce the competition is, but it does show as well anybody can take victories out there because of how close the competition is. And I think close competition really has been the story of today. Starting with qualifying, 9th in qualifying. It was a good lap for yourself out there. Not far off a pole position, in fact.
Yeah, I think I was 0.4 or something away from pole. Like you say, it's such a tight grid at the moment. Since season 1, I think the quality in the league has risen, by a lot basically. So yeah, I think I was fairly happy with the lap that I did. I think the way I sort of feel about my driving at the moment, that feels like about the right spot for me. Like if I have a good lap, sort of that back end of the top 10 feels like where I should be sitting. So yeah, it felt like about right to me. Like I say, it was a fairly reasonable lap, and then yeah, all right qualifying, I'd say.
Well, qualifying felt all right. Going into race number 1 then. Race number 1, a lot of hours out, but it was a relatively tame race number 1, all things considered, compared to how races 2 and 3 went. We saw you right in the thick of the fighting, but in the end taking an 11th place finish. I mean, it meant you left the race with no ballast in the car, but how was race 1 for you? Because I get the feeling as much as you wanted to go forward, you got pushed slightly backwards.
Yeah, pretty much. I think I stayed sort of in that 9th position for the first few laps, and I think I had a little tap with Ben Altria that shuffled me out, and a few went past. I think Isaac went past and Pike maybe. And then I just couldn't do anything from there. I think I was just follow the leader basically for the rest of the race. It was very boring the second half. So yeah, not one to remember for me, race 1. But yeah, like I said, I think the lack of ballast in the car obviously set me up nicely for race 2.
Well, like you say, no weight in the car now going into race 2. Sets you up quite nicely. And we see that immediately where you're pushing forward to an 8th place finish. But again, gaining every place here at Snetterton. I mean, it's a lovely circuit. It's a long circuit. But it's one of those ones as well where it must feel as though it's a story in itself just to make one overtake.
Yeah, it can be a lot of effort. I think at the start Isaac was doing really well. I think he made 3 places in the first lap and a half or something, which was really impressive. And yeah, I just had to sort of try and mimic that. I think I got past Ben. I think I got past Andrew Pike at the start. And then I think I was behind, was it Conrad, for pretty much the second half of the race. But like you say, it's very tough making an overtake. And yeah, when people don't make mistakes, you just can't really do too much. But yeah, I was happy to sort of come through to the finish in P8 with Lee just behind my teammate, obviously.
An 8th place finish in the end coming out of race number 2 and going into the reverse grid draw. I mean, we only have the top 12 potentially being drawn this time around this season. We sat there thinking, this could be our night and you might end up on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, I was joking with the guys that because Jamie was in 11th, so I was saying, oh, P11 would be perfect. And I said, well, actually, P8 or P9 would be perfect, really, because that puts me right at the top. So yeah, I was sort of thinking, no, my luck is probably going to be P7, but yeah, P9 was the second best option for the team, really, behind P11. So yeah, very happy with that start position, and yeah, only went up from there.
In race number 3, we did see in the early stages you leap into the lead over your teammate Lee Horn. Both of you getting a good start, and it looked as though, at least for the early stages, you're both going to break away, as we do see some of the pictures on the screen at the moment. Was there always the perhaps plan for you to be leading, or was it going to be a fair fight between the two of you?
There wasn't much of a plan. I think maybe that's something we probably should have thought of before getting into the race. I think I had a really good start and I was alongside Lee, but I thought I'll let him take the turn 2 sort of clean. I suppose a few guys behind were side by side, so I thought let's try and break away a bit. And then I think Lee had a slow down, which he had to take on the back straight, which is where I got through. After that, Lee was just the perfect teammate. Basically, he sat behind and defended basically defended me. I'm not sure I had the pace by myself. I think if I was in P2 behind Lee, I probably wouldn't have had the pace to keep the other guys behind. So yeah, just really, really fantastic racing from Lee, really, that kept everyone behind and let me hold on to that position. So I was very, very grateful to have him there.
So Lee acted a bit of a rear gunner for yourself, but to be fair, you had to have the pace to jump him on the open lap. And as the laps came on down, we did see Mikey Doble starting to get closer and closer as the whole field scrambled behind the pair of you to make progress. I have to ask, going on to that final lap, at what point did it dawn on you that Lee had been passed and you suddenly got a 4-time NXTCC champion starting to breathe down your neck?
Yeah, I think I saw in the mirrors Mikey come up and take him into the corner, but at that point I looked at the relative and I saw I think I had a second and a half. I thought I can be a second and a half. I can lose a second and a half to Mikey and be fine. I backed myself to do that at least over a lap. So I sort of made sure I took it easy, hit my braking marks, didn't overdo it, and throw it away basically. And yeah, tried to stay calm and cross the line. And yeah, in the end it all worked out.
Oh, 100%. And I have to ask, what was going through your mind as you saw that checker flag and knew that this is your first victory in a long time? I mean, you must have been absolutely ecstatic, even though I know you're a bit of a quiet man behind the scenes.
Yeah, very happy. It's been a few tough seasons. I think I had some chances last season. I think at Bathurst I had a good race and then had a bit of an incident, which kind of threw me off a little bit. And then it's been a bit of a struggle. Obviously, like I said, the quality in the league has risen astronomically, so I'm not too worried about finishing right at the top. And I kind of thought, it's probably not going to happen again unless something, the perfect race happens. And I think I could probably say this probably was the perfect race, not in terms of like me being the perfect driver, but just sort of the way it panned out. Having Lee behind to sort of protect me and be the rear gunner, as you said, to have the sort of the fights between Mikey and Marcelo and Isaac and things that held them up enough that we didn't get overtaken. It all just sort of played out just the way it needed to sort of stay in that lead and come through in first. So yeah, like you said earlier, it's a testament to the league that it's got this quality, but anyone can win on the right week. So yeah, miracles can still happen.
Oh, indeed, they can. And one other thing as well, which I think some may comment on, and I'd love to comment on as well, you've always stuck with this one machine, the Audi RS3. You've never walked away from it, to be fair. It's the car that keeps on giving. But why do you stay with it? Is it just the car you enjoy the most, or is there any other reason?
I think when I sort of started with it, I enjoyed the fact that not many other people drove it, and I always quite liked being sort of the one in the different car. And it really worked nicely in I think it was season 2 or 3 where we had ballast by manufacturer because no one else drove it. So I think the last few races I was in a much lighter car than everyone else. And yeah, since then I think I went into the Veloster briefly. But yeah, the Audi it's the easiest to start, I find. And in terms of sort of, I felt like through the fast corners it works nicely for me, and that's sort of where I want to be fast. And then through the slow corners, I'm slow anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it just works nicely for me. The only issue I've got with it is when you change gear, it sounds like it's sneezing. But apart from that, yeah, it's perfect.
Oh, well, I choose from it yourself. Well, in fact, I'm trying to make a pun out of sneezing there, but I can't, so have to forgive me, ladies and gents. But whether it's sneezing or rasping for its gears, one thing's for certain is you've definitely chosen a car that you enjoy, and I can hear the enthusiasm in your voice. But Gavin, just before I do let you go, well, we have got in 2 weeks' time, of course, a visit to none other than the lovely circuit that is the Thruxton circuit. Can we expect even more from yourself there?
I don't know about more. I can't do much better than first. Hopefully similar. Again, like I said, like I think that sort of back end of the top 10 is where I like to be. That feels like where my pace is. If I can get a few top 10 results and maybe a top 5, I'd be thrilled with that, or just a few top 10s. Just hope for some nice, fun, clean racing, really.
Oh, indeed. We hope for that as well. We look forward to seeing you right in the thick of it as you look to chase down those top 10s, if not a top 5. And lastly, is there anywhere you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast this evening?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned, Lee was the perfect teammate there. So yeah, massive shout outs to Lee. Massive thanks to Jamie, obviously, for being my other teammate. I think he had a bit of a struggle this race, but it's always great racing with him. And then yeah, just thanks to everyone, all the other admins who do all the work, and big thanks to you for the streams as always. As I said, they always really fun to watch, and they really make the league, I think.
Well, Gavin, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you join me in the interview. Congratulations on your return to the top step this evening. Absolutely well-deserved, as were the results in the other 2 races as well. We always love to see you out there giving it your all, and we look forward to plenty more at Thruxton in 2 weeks' time. But until then, enjoy the moment, savour it, and have a great rest of your evening.
Cheers. Thank you, Paul.
Well, hearing there, ladies and gentlemen, from Gavin Gardner, a very happy Gavin Gardner at that. You can hear it in his voice. I think there's that feeling, that natural feeling that comes when you've been on the grid so long without a win, and you know you've been a previous race winner, multi-time race winner, of course. And he's saying they're comparing himself to one of those old Formula 1 veterans, and suddenly it all comes together once again. And for Gavin Gardner, it all worked out in race number 3. But along the way, a solid qualifying performance, a very happy qualifying performance. 9, he qualified exactly where he expects he would qualify in amongst the grid, being just at the bottom end of the top 10. In race number 1, being shuffled down a little bit, but working to his advantage by having no success bonus going into race number 2, and therefore able to move back up into the top 10 with that 8th place finish, take a little bit of weight with him, and the reverse grid draw working out very nicely to start him in 2nd. He leapt into lead on the open lap with the raw straight line performance of the Audi in its simple start, and he didn't look back, with Lee Horn right behind him as we see them there in the pictures together, acting as the perfect rearguard teammate all the way through and sacrificing the 2nd place. But Gavin Gardner in the end had to keep it consistent, cool and calm on the circuit, and in doing so bringing on home his maiden victory in a long time of racing, his first victory of the season. He goes to Thruxton looking for top 10s and perhaps a top 5. Perhaps he can even make it another podium, if not another win. We'd love to see it happen. I'm sure many would, but we'll have to wait and see. We're coming on to our second interview then, ladies and gentlemen. The good news is we are going to be seeing join us Wojciech Delmont for the 3rd interview of the evening. But along the way, well, we've heard from one NXTGEN Pink driver. Let's hear from the other one and his side of the story and his part to play in supporting Gavin Gardner, but also his part in all the racing today. It's none other than Lee Horn, and he joins me now. Good evening to you, Lee. And well, we've just heard from Gavin, the man you worked with in race number 3 to try and make a NXTGEN 1-2. But you're not just a man all about that today at Snetterton. You are right in the thick of the fighting as well, enjoying it out there in the Honda Civic Type R. And it looks like you've just had another fun round of racing with a podium at the end of it.
Indeed, Paul. Yeah, good evening. That was a whole lot of fun. Properly enjoyed that one. That was brilliant.
Well, brilliant round of racing there. And from the start, qualifying, 11th place on the grid. We've normally seen you trying to chop your way into the top 5 of qualifying, but we've got so many strong drivers this season. With the competition being so fierce, did 11th place feel right for yourself, or was there more out there in qualifying?
Well, to be fair, I struggled in practice last night, and then we had the practice races, and it sort of improved a little bit. And I'm finding the Honda a little bit light on the rear, more than it has been over past seasons. As everyone will well know, I've stuck with the Honda for many seasons now because I just don't really have the enthusiasm not enthusiasm. I don't have the time to sort of go learn another car, so I've just stuck with it because I know it and I've driven it for so long. But yeah, this season it seems very light at the back end, so wasn't too good yesterday, and then came into practice tonight, and I felt okay, not buzzing with confidence, but I do like Snetterton. I've always gone reasonably well here, but I did actually put a PB in. I think it was a 59.3 or 4 for quali. So I was hoping it might have been good enough for a bit better position, but timing-wise, it was a PB, so I was sort of happy with that. So a P11 was, yeah, I was satisfied.
So satisfied from qualifying and going into race number 1, a 13th place finish there, getting elbows out with a number of drives, but also race 1, where it seems as though everyone had their sensible head on for the first race of the day. Where did you find yourself in all of that?
Well, I was rather frustrated with race one, and all the reason for of my own doing. Lap one, I'm just trying to think what it was. 1, 2, 3, corner 4. Can't remember the name of it now. I went wide onto the grass. You probably saw it on the stream, and I lost 3 positions. It was all my own fault. A little bit early on the power, understeered, went off. I stayed too wide, really. And so I was a bit frustrated with myself for making that mistake. I managed to claw one place back, and then obviously ended up finishing in the P13 spot. It was P13 spot, wasn't it, in the end? So yeah, a bit frustrated, but I felt confident that I'd be able to try and hopefully move forward for the forthcoming races. And I obviously was in and around Gavan, so hoping that maybe we could work together a little bit and see how things went. So yeah, race one frustrating. Felt I could have done a bit better.
Well, race one may have been frustrating, but race number 2 saw you move forward to a 9th place finish, albeit more fighting out there, but this time on your terms and no grass to boot.
Yes, much stronger race. Really enjoyed the battles. Managed to get past Alan this time quite early, unlike in race one where I was. He drove really well, to be fair, and I couldn't really get past him in race one, so that's obviously where I stuck at P13. But for race 2, I got past Alan quite early in the race, and then gathered up those positions, quite well. Was really confident and determined to stay, hopefully, within the top 10 for a good chance of the reverse draw. And hey presto, you did your magic for me, Paul. So that turned out really well.
Well, fair play. And well, going into race number 3, knowing you'd start on pole then, I mean, it was a next-gen 1-2 on the grid, but a lot of very fast drivers starting behind you. Gavin was saying about the fact that nothing was agreed between the two of you. It would be a race off the line, but come the end of lap number 1, you fell into P2. From that point onwards, was there a thought in your mind, look, there's a next-gen 1-2 on the cards here, or was it still you're chasing Gavan, but everyone is closing?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because by the start of the race, as we were sat on the grid, I'm thinking to myself, do you know what? You've got a really good opportunity here. The confidence had completely risen now. I was bubbling away nicely. I felt confident in the car. That race 2 was really strong for me. Not that it was an amazing positional result, but then it was never going to be from starting in P13 anyway. Nonetheless, it was a really good to get to P9, so I was confident. So I got off the line really well, kept in front of Gavan. Yes, there was no sort of discussion about how we were going to approach it, albeit we have a good partnership, a good team relationship, or all 4 of us. So it was, I got there and had got the lead. Unfortunately, I went across the corner too much and gave myself a 1 second slowdown. So as you saw, me pulling down as we entered the straight onto the left, I said, Gav, go down my right, I've got to slow down. Let him straight by, managed to lift enough there and then drop a little bit of time then going in through under the bridge and through the chicane and cleared the slowdown and managed to maintain into P2. So I was very much relieved, and then from that point it was like, right, I'm not going to pressure Gav as in to try and overtake him, but I'm going to try and stick on his bumper and see whether we could pull away and how it was going to result. Well, as you saw, as it turned out, I thought we were going to start to pull away, but I was really close to Gav and it wasn't enabling me to be at my optimum pace. I felt I probably had a little bit more pace than Gav, but I wasn't going to jeopardise both of our races by challenging him and slowing us down. So I stuck with him. Had to, really defend hard against Marcelo to start with, and as obviously as the race progressed, I felt I did really well. And you've probably seen on the stream over the last few races and the last few seasons, I've really honed my defending craft, and sort of, I'm very proud of how well I can sort of put my car now in places where I used to be a little bit of a pushover and people have come past me quite easily in the past. But now it's a different story. You want to get past me, you've got to work for it.
Oh, indeed. And you made your rivals work for it. Marcello in the end not able to find his way through, but in the closing stages, Mikey Doble was definitely absolutely roaring after the pair of you. And going into the final 2 laps, he eventually did find a way through, albeit not without a hard fight from yourself. He had to really force it on you. Yeah,
he jumped into the comms with me in the end there and congratulated me on a great race and how well I defended. And yeah, I was determined to really try and keep him behind me. I kept Woj behind me last week at Brands in race 1. for my P2, which I was really chuffed with. And I thought, you know what, you can do it against Wodge. I'm sure you can do it against Mikey. And yeah, I did try, but there was a couple of corners I went in a little bit deeper. I'm chucking it in, rear end sliding, and trying to keep the car in the right place. But we know all about Mr. Doble, how being a British touring car driver and doing this for driving in real life for many years. He knows a lot of things and how to treat his car. And he, unfortunately, from my perspective, he got me. But I put up a good fight, and it was a really good battle.
Oh, 100%. And with a really good battle in the end, still earning your right to be on the podium there, third place. I mean, nothing to be upset about. And continuing to run a very good results this season so far, only 3 rounds in.
Yeah, like I say, Donington didn't start as well as I really liked it to. It's always a bit of a bogey track for me. I love all the Brit tracks, but I just never seem to do particularly well at Donington. So it didn't start as well as I wanted it to. Brand started really well with the P2, but then unfortunately others got involved that put me back a little bit and didn't give me the bestest of results that I wanted. But yeah, this is a much stronger round for me. I'm trying to head myself back into the top 10 and try and climb the table a little bit now over the next few rounds.
Well, absolutely fair in terms of climbing up the table. And next time we are going to be at the Thruxton circuit, arguably the fastest circuit in the United Kingdom. How are you feeling for round 4?
Yeah, I do love Thruxton. I'm not massively experienced since it's come to iRacing. I haven't driven it a massive amount. I've driven it a lot on other sims. So yeah, I need to perhaps go and put a night's practice laps in, go and chuck myself on for 40-50 laps and see where I go. But yeah, I'll be very excited for Thruxton. It's a fantastic track to go and battle at, and obviously it's not been around very much. And I say I've been on it on other sims. It's been a long time, obviously being on iRacing here, and it's only recently come. And we all love Thruxton. It just hasn't been around so much, or I've only been on sims that haven't had it. So yeah, I'm really excited for Thruxton round.
Oh, fantastic. We look forward to seeing how you get on at Thruxton and giving it your all out there with that excitement. But just before we do let you go, Lee, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast this evening?
I just thank my fellow competitors, family for their understanding when I'm always in here, and well, not always in here, but when I am in here and they're out there doing their own thing, and all the viewers that tune in to watch. Obviously yourself, and obviously Jamie and the rest of the admin crew for running what maybe a bit big-headed, but probably one of the best touring car series on iRacing.
Well, Lee, it's been absolutely brilliant to have you join me in the interview room, no doubt about it. And congratulations once again on the great set of results, particularly that third place at the end there. We look forward to plenty more from yourself at Thruxton as you continue to move forward as arguably one of the strongest drivers on this grid, particularly as these seasons have gone on. And we look forward to seeing how you deploy that strength in round number 4. But until then, have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks again, Paul. Cheers. Good night.
So hearing there from Lee Horn, who by the sounds of things a little bit exhausted, but a little bit also relieved to bring that result at home in race number 3. But talking there about the fact in qualifying, the lap coming together to a degree, and knowing that it was all going to be an uphill battle from qualifying into the 3 races. Race number 1, however, running out wide coming out of Agostini. That cost him the places that he gained early on and forced him back a few. And in the end, having to fight his way to a 13th place finish, and not the way he wanted race 1 to end. However, race number 2, the weight was shed from the car, and he was able to go on the attack to a 9th place finish, which set him up perfectly for race number 3. And well, Lady Luck would have it, the number 9 will be drawn from the Lottery Bowl. Missed out on the race start versus Gavin Gardner, and with that, in the end, losing out due to a 1-second slowdown penalty, falling down to 2nd. But from there, staying behind his teammate and trying to be a defensive wall, and doing it very well for the most part, until in the end, Mikey Doble came on through and put quite the forceful move on, but a fair and forceful move. And for Lee Horn, that was the end of his run to 2nd place, but still a 3rd place finish there. He's looking forward to Thruxton, no doubt about it, and we look forward to seeing what he can do there. And I'm sure where all the fighting is, Lee Horn will be right in the thick of it, chasing down the top 5s. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we now come to our final interview of the day, and it's going to be with none other than what will be Lewis Delmont. And well, Lewis Delmont is one of those drivers who's definitely always welcome in the interview, no doubt about it. And let's get to hear his story of what was excuse me, in the Prime class. A bit of a challenging day today, but of course, there's always plenty of challenging days out there, and I'm sure Lewis Delmont has learned a lot from this one, and we'll get to hear the inside as he's had a very up and down evening. But without further ado, we bring you Lewis Delmont, ladies and gents, as he joins me in the interview room. Good evening to you, Lewis. And well, what a mixed day for yourself today. Qualifying, it went somewhat okay by looks of things. Race number 1, didn't really move forward in class, but didn't really lose out. Race number 2 wasn't the race you wanted. And race number 3, charging your way all the way through and into a top 5 finish in the Prime class. I mean, as far as things goes, a lot of drivers have more predictable days, but I don't think you do things normally. I think you try to give it your all out there and enjoy it every step of the way.
Of course. It would definitely a struggle in quali coming in with all the weight. Definitely still not used to driving with all the weight in the car. Yeah, I managed to do a decent quali, and then race 1, it was pretty boring race. Ended up just following Stuart round for pretty much the full race. Yeah, wasn't too bad for race 1.
And when you say you're struggling with the weight in qualifying and just generally struggling with the weight, what's the difficulty? Is it the fact that when the car, say, brakes, for example, that weight coming forward, or how the car just generally feels? Just take us through what you're having difficulty adapting to.
It's just the grip mid-corner for me. I still brake at the same braking points. I think I just need to be a bit more modular on my throttle to really gain the time with the weight, but I'm still adapting to it at the moment.
Well, still adapting, and to be fair, as far as adaptations go, it's hard to do when you've got the longest circuit of the calendar, Snetterton 300. I mean, at this circuit, I can imagine with all the different corners and different styles of corners, it was almost as if the car was becoming a completely different machine corner to corner and lap to lap.
Definitely. The tyres, especially in race 1, with it being, I think, about 40 degrees, they just went off so fast, and from then it was just a survival race.
Well, race number 1 may have been a race of survival, but you did well to start 7th place in Prime class and finish in 7th place in Prime class. So I can imagine going into race number 2, it must have made you feel as though, you know what, we're starting to get to terms with this. We might be able to move forward in race 2.
Yeah, I was really hoping that I'd get maybe a podium in race 2. I'd managed to get to, I think, P3 or 4 off the grid. I got a mega start, and then everyone into the braking zone checked up, and I think it was Russell Fowler out, and he ended up spinning across the grass, and I ended up getting caught in that, and I had to tow back to the pits, and from there we're just driving around on my own.
Well, it was unfortunate, and we did briefly catch a replay earlier on of that multi-car collision, like you're saying to Wilson, with Russell Fowler really being at the heart of what happened there. Not to point the finger at him, but from what we could see. But still, went back to the pit, got the car back out there, and in the end, still getting it home for what will be some points in the Prime class. But then turning your attentions to race number 3. You're right at the back of the field. You've got nowhere to go other than forward. And it looks as though there you did exactly what you needed to.
Yeah, race 3 were a good race. I was just slowly moving up, and managed to get up close to Michael Lees, who was 6 points in front of me, I believe, for P1 in Pro-Am. Yeah, I didn't manage too far off him in the end, but I think I'm down to P4 overall now. Not too much in it though.
A good drive there to a 5th place finish in Prime right at the end. And like you say, you're now down to 4th in the Prime Championship. We've got plenty of rounds to go. And with those rounds coming, next time out, it's the Thruxton circuit. How are you feeling for a trip to the fastest circuit in the UK?
Yeah, I like Thruxton. Not many places to make a move. So it's going to be all about quali. As you've seen probably from other Thruxton races, quali can be like a second down to P30, so it's just all about keeping a level edge during quali, and hopefully the results will come in the race.
Well, definitely a great mindset to go in there for, and we look forward to seeing you give it your all to get those results in the races. But just before we do let you go, Lewis, would you like to give a shout out or a thank you to anyone live on the broadcast this evening?
Yourself, all the organisers, Jamie, the team, Carl Murray for the money, and Sam Bradley for his SpongeBob helmet.
Well, the SpongeBob helmet always makes a mention there, and it's always great to hear about it. And also, like you say, a big shout out to Cal Murray for supporting and helping fund the racing team that you're part of, NXTGEN Green. But with that, Lewis, it's been a pleasure having you join me in the interview room. Well done on your results today, and we'll, despite the difficulties in race number 2, see you bounce back in race 3. Definitely something to be admired, and we hope that you can continue to move forward at Thruxton in a week's time. But until then, have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks, Paul. You too.
So here and there, ladies and gentlemen, for our final interview of the evening, Lewis Delmont, the Pram driver there, really talking about his ongoing struggles because he came into this round second place in the Pram Championship, so carrying was a rather large and significant amount of weight in the car, and we'll to put it in perspective, coming into this round with 24.5 kilograms of success ballast, and it's the grip mid-corner that's really catching him out at the moment, and well, particularly at a circuit such as Snetterton, where you've got so many different styles of corners in terms of the loadings on the outside tyres, the way you have to brake into the corners, the apex speeds. When you're not comfortable with that weight in the car, it definitely means a circuit like Snetterton suddenly becomes an absolutely terrifying circuit to deal with, because of the fact you can't understand what the car's necessarily going to do corner to corner and lap to lap. But still, after a qualifying session, which was really all about trying to manage the weight, he seemed to come to terms with it by stabilising where he started and finishing where he started in race number 1. In race number 2, as he mentioned, a lightning quick start, so all the way up into the battle for third place in the Pram class until misfortune for Russell Fowler, it would seem, caused what was Lewis Delmont's race, amongst others, to end up going the wrong way. But he got back out of the pit lane with a repaired car, and in the end finished the race in 32nd place, 12th in class there, as we do see this lovely battle between himself and the 504 Ben Altria, 2 Pram drivers going toe-to-toe into what was the braking zone there, Brundle into Nelson. And speaking of lovely overtakes, so that was one of many that was made by Lewis Delmont over the distance of race number 3 as he roared his way through the field to half his deficit to the front of the field in terms of positions. A 16th place finish in the conclusion, 5th place in class. Some good points there, not too far from Michael Lees, and most importantly, he heads into Thruxton in 4th place in the Pram Championship with things being so close between drivers, so he's got a little bit less weight in the car for a circuit where you definitely need to feel confident with the car as you are around its high speed corners. And could we see Lewis Delmont continue to move forward there? Well, I think many at NXTGEN Green would believe it, and I think many of you tuning at home may also believe it as well. But we will see in 2 weeks' time. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our interviews for this evening. We've heard, and I say thank you to, firstly, Gavin Gardner for NXTGEN Pink in the Pro Class. Also, we've heard from Lee Horn for NXTGEN Pink in the Pro Class there, and also to Lewis Delmont, the NXTGEN Green driver in the Pram Class. And thank you to all 3 of them for their time this evening, for lovely interviews. And we will, later on this season, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps next time, try to get a word from one of our AM drivers out there. It's always good to hear from up and down the field, and we'll get to hear all the stories as they unfold over the course of the season. But with that, before we wrap up, let's take a look at those provisional championship standings after 3 rounds of racing, and starting with the overall top 15, was we see Wojciech Swirydowicz with back-to-back victories in races 1 and 2, and just about squeezing in a point from race number 3 with the fastest lap point there. Well, he's taken 46 points from this round on 160. His advantage has been maintained to Luciano Witvoet. In the end, has only achieved a point over him. And then we can see Mikey Doble sitting in 3rd, and Mikey Doble closing the gap a little bit, albeit 18 points off of the top 2. But the point being right now, this top 3 absolutely as close as they come on the point, and there's nothing between them. Isaac Doble holding on to 4th, but falling a little bit away from the top 3 there. And if anything, now under increasing pressure from Adam Delmont, who scored the same as Isaac Doble today. And Gavin Gardner, with that victory in race number 3, moves his way all the way up to 6th place of the championship. And what a result it is in his first win in a long time. He's moved ahead of Andrew Pike and also William Guthrie, with Guthrie falling down to 8th place then. A dismal day today, as it could be said for Pike as well. Alex Meredith not on the grid, no points scored, and will sit in 9th. And Tom Davidson there behind Meredith based on result count bag, but in 10th place with 24 points from this round. Conrad Kula moves to 11th, best of the rest, a point off of the top 10. He's got 12 points over Lee Horn. And then we do see Yaroslav Sabula in 13th place, falling down the order ahead of Matthew Addy, your leading Pram driver, and Lewis Delmont, who sits in 15th, second of the Prams overall on 30 points, and only behind Matthew Addy based on result countback. We come to the Pram class, and the complexion here of the Prams is a bit different. Michael Lees, 13 points in the lead now, but Ben Altriers made the big scorer points today with the victories in races 1 and 2. Things are tightening towards the top. Stuart Moynihan only a point behind, and the further 3 to Lewis Delmont, as right now it really is becoming the question of who has the right to challenge Michael Lees, given they're all so close to each other and behind him. Matthew Addy falls to 5th on 117 points. He's 6 off of the top 4, and he's 10 clear of Duncan Moraes, who in turn had a difficult day today, and therefore drops to 6th place, but 9, there's still plenty of rounds to go. Benjamin Gregory with that victory in the final race of the day. Well, he moves his way into 7th place there, and Full Tilt V Motorsport taking victories in all 3 races. In fact, it was Nick Clemens. Let me correct myself there before somebody corrects me for me. And well, with what was that, 2nd place, I should say, in the final race of the day. All podiums for the Full Tilt V Motorsport drivers across the board, or at least one getting one in each of the races. And therefore, in 7th, well, he's got Alan McCain only 4 points behind, and Nick Clemens with that victory in race number 3 moves his way into 9th place there on 88 points. 2 behind him, Kieran Smart, not on the grid today, and therefore will be treating this essentially as a dropped round, albeit he's still ahead of Russell Fowler by 3 points. And then it's Reece Watt, Sam Van Olst, and Sam Smith who complete your Pro-Am standings. And then coming to the AM class drivers, last but by no means least, Marcel Fritsch. 8 points ahead of Mark Sykes. The tables have turned and the pendulum has swung, with Marcel Fritsch there having an absolutely solid round of racing, but intriguingly not taking victory in any of the 3 races, and a surprise there, and one that's not welcome to be certain, but that goes to show you how closely matched this AM class is, with Mark Sykes having a difficult day of the racing there and having to settle for low score points and falling to 2nd. Jonathan Collins closing the gap to the top 2 now to 129 points, 4 ahead of first-time winner Matthew Jordan in race number 1 of the day. He's a force to be reckoned with, and a highly unpredictable one for his rivals to have to deal with, but a good one to have. And then Craig Tillerson, Sam Bradley and Callum Murray completing at your standings, with Sam Bradley of course with 2 victories in races 2 and 3, where he suddenly gets a huge points injection, and now he's starting to move closer to that top 5. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for us to wrap up. Thank you very much for watching, and if you have enjoyed today's show and perhaps you're sat there right now wanting to know more about the Next Gen Racing community, we do recommend, of course, you do head to our website first and foremost, and that's nextgenracing.co.uk, the beating heart of what is all information that is Next Gen, and there's our website on screen now. And if you want to know anything about our ongoing or upcoming series, or how you can join the Discord community for Next Gen Racing, well, for all that and more, do head to our website. You won't find a better source of information. But if you don't want to go to our website, perhaps you're more of a social media person, well, we do recommend you head to our Facebook group, and that's at facebook.com/groups/NextGen Racing. Well, there you can find out similar amounts of information, but also you can find out a little bit more about the guys and girls behind the scenes who make up Next Gen Racing, including our staff and admin members who on the virtual circuit may be racing drivers and organisers, but on the real life circuit also do plenty on behind the scenes, whether it be racing, or alternatively acting as stewards, marshals, or everything in between. We'll also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to our sponsors. They include PowerMax, Next Level Racing, Mark Sykes Designs, Joyce Design, Douglas Motorsport, Sam Cases UK, Falconer PC Builds and Support, and Benji Sim Photos. And of course, how could we forget our title sponsor, Doble Motorcycles? And well, if you are looking to buy your next 2-wheeled machine or ATV, why not consider Doble Motorcycles? Because don't just take our word for it, have won numerous awards over the years, including 3 Motorcycle News Dealer of the Year awards. The Doble family run business prides itself on customer service, and it shows. So to be in pole position in order to get your hands on the ultimate machine, powered by dreams, with excellent customer service from lights out to checker flag, will do head to their website. And Doble Motorcycles website is at doble.co.uk. That web address again, doble.co.uk, if you want to find out more. But now, ladies and gentlemen, we want plenty more races, so much so that for a brief moment its logo burst onto our screen and we had to tame it back and hide it, because in round number 4, in 2 weeks' time, on Tuesday the 3rd of June 2025, we'll be heading to the Thruxton circuit. And there, at the fastest circuit on our calendar in terms of the average lap speed, we'll see our drivers have to dig in tight and absolutely go all in for victory. And as a circuit where the runoff areas are wide, they're deep, but once you go onto them, you're never coming back. At Thruxton, it's going to be racing on the limits, and who will be pushed to the limit to take victory over 3 races in the round. We'll tune in 2 weeks' time to find out then, but until then, we've been Next Gen Racing. I've been your host and commentator, Paul TX141 Walsh, also known as Britain Spit, depending on what media you follow me on. And until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, and most importantly, as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to stay on track. Good night.
Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, that's all from us here at Next Gen Racing, the home of clean and fair sim racing for all.